Original Lone Wolf coming at y'all, man. I got a nice little video that I'm putting together for you all. This is gonna kind of be a fairly lengthy video, but I won't be really showing much of anything. So like if you driving or whatever like that, or traveling, excuse me, you don't have to really focus on the screen or whatever. You can just listen to what's being said and what's being told. This is my Cointelpro video. All right. People call it Cointelpro. I call it so-called black treason or nigger treason. All right. That's what I call it. Okay. But just so you guys are aware, this is a Cointelpro video, man. The biggest reason for why I'm making this video is because there's not enough light being shined on the activities that we participated in and the role that we played in the demise of our own people back in the 60s, right? Because it wasn't just the FBI. It wasn't just the CIA. Although you guys know that, like the ones who are listening now, you all know that. I know you guys realize that, right? My point is that it doesn't get talked about. To this day, you still got worthless ass niggas talking about the FBI and how they fucked Malcolm up. But nobody paid attention to Malcolm when he gave that speech where he said that he knew that there were black informants at the church, at the mosque or whatever. He said they would come up to him and tell him that they were cops. Niggas was doing this. Okay? And it doesn't get talked about the way it's supposed to. Because as far as I'm concerned, we know what the FBI was doing and J. Edgar Hoover and all this other shit. We know about all that. But what we did to each other is just as detrimental. So what you got on screen here is an interview, right? This guy that you're looking at here is interviewing this fucking sodomite, this nigger ass sodomite who helped sell out our people in California and Watts of all places. So without further ado, man, we're going to listen to what this person has to say about his rendezvous when he was a fucking FBI agent. All right. Listen, I want you guys to really just do this favor for me. First off, like the video and share it. That's the only thing I ever ask of y'all. That's my money. That's my donation. You want to donate to me? Share the fucking video, man. Like the fucking video. Like I told y'all before, however many views I have, I should have that many likes. All right. Like the video, share the video. Right now, the other thing I want you guys to do, I want you guys to sit back and relax. If you are, I know some of you guys drive trucks and, all this other shit. But if you're in a position to where you can sit back, I want you to sit back. I want you to relax. I want you to take all of the weight of the bullshit off your shoulders. And I just want you guys to open your mind, body, and soul to what I am trying to get across to you all in this video. Please, man. And if you can't watch it to the end in the very beginning, come back and finish watching the video at a later time. All right?
Welcome to Like It Is. In an earlier program that we ran as a special three-part series entitled A Decade of Struggle, we included an interview with a man who worked as an informer for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We didn't show all of that interview, however, because of time limitations. We do feel, nonetheless, that we should air as much as possible of that interview because of the gravity of the information it contains. This edition of Like It Is will be devoted solely to that end. The name of the informant that we interviewed is
Okay, stop. Let me go back. Because I just peeped this my damn self. Let me go back.
Interview because of the gravity of the information it contains. This edition of Like It Is will be devoted solely to that end.
See the all-seeing eye on there? That's the all-seeing eye, guys. You see that shit? They've been doing this for, oh my God, man. They've been doing this shit for so long. Another thing that don't get talked about much, especially among these fucking scholars, is these fucking black Masonic niggas. Haven't you noticed, man, that you got all of these fucking nigger scholars out here who's supposed to know so much fucking history and they supposed to know all of this and they supposed to know all of that, but yet they never talk about the black Masonic order? Just something to make you think, all right?
The name of the informant that we interviewed is Dothart Perry, also known as Ed Riggs, also known as Bill Perry, also known as Othello. He worked for the FBI as an informer who infiltrated various black organizations during the 1960s. Ours is the only full-face on-camera interview that he has conducted thus far. Now, we interviewed him on 2 separate occasions. So, for purposes of continuity, we've edited this piece, going from one interview to another according to subject areas. We began with his account of how he was recruited by the FBI.
I was a student at Sacramento City College and Sacramento State College. I was stopped in the parking lot one day by a special agent by the name of Frank. He told me a little bit about that he knew that I worked in military intelligence and how would I like to work for him. And also that I knew certain people in the so-called black radical fringe that they would be very interested in finding different information out about it. I told him that my term for military intelligence had been very short-lived, that I was not interested in them, and I wasn't interested in him either.
By now, this must have been 1968-ish.
Yes. The following month, I was going to school on a federal grant and also a VA loan check. My check didn't come down, either one. I had bought a oscilloscope for a television communications class that I was taking from a person that I didn't even know. He just had the oscilloscope for sale and it was very cheap, so I bought it. Since my checks hadn't came down, being a student, and I was taking like close to, I think, about 23 units, something like that. It was a very heavy course load. I couldn't work and go to school at the same time. So I decided I would take the oscilloscope down to the pawn shop, pawn it, and use that money until my checks came. I went down, I pawned the oscilloscope. As I came out, I got busted. Possession of stolen property. It seems that someone had broken into Sacramento City College and had stolen the oscilloscope along with quite a few other things.
So what happened?
Well, I was taken to court due to a friend of mine, an attorney in Sacramento that I had been working for. He intervened for me, and it was broken down to misdemeanor possession of stolen property, which I was given 3 years summary probation for. Let me clarify this. Summary probation means that all you have to do is you write a letter into the probation officer every month, and you say, well, I've been a good boy this month. Bye, you know. I got an offer for a scholarship at Los Angeles City College, which I took advantage of, and I started going to Los Angeles City College and UCLA in Los Angeles. Coming out of LACC from the school one day, I was met again by the same special agent who said that he wanted to talk to me, and the offer.
That silence that you're hearing, that is them blotting out certain things that he's saying. Like that little brief silence you heard, they blotted out the name of the agent that is approaching him. Okay, so basically you can already see where this is kind of going. He said he allegedly received stolen property, an oscilloscope, which he didn't know was stolen. He said he needed the money because he was going to college or whatever. So he took the oscilloscope and he went to pawn it, and he got busted for receiving stolen merchandise, right? So you can kind of see where this is going. What has happened is they hemmed him up in some shit. He didn't want to participate. Well, let me back up. They came to him trying to recruit him. He didn't want to participate. So what they did was wrangled him up on some bullshit, because the FBI was behind that. The whole oscilloscope, and you know what I'm saying? They knew what he was going to school for. They knew that he would be able to use that for school. So for him to take that from somebody like that would be natural. It would make sense that he would do it. You know what I'm saying? The thing about it was that he didn't realize that they was intentionally giving him something stolen, right? So I do understand him on that part. That part is not necessarily his fault. You know what I'm saying? But what comes afterwards is the fucking shit I have a problem with. But anyway, let's go.
Still good about me working for him. Again, I told him no, I was not interested. Then told me that I should be interested because he could help me with a problem that I had. And I told him I didn't have any problems that I knew of. He said, oh, yes, you remember the possession of stolen? I said, yeah, well, that's summary probation, man. I just write a letter in every month. He said, oh, no, that's not summary probation. It turned out it's a felony probation for 3 years, which means you have to report in every week.
To bring it down to a nutshell, what happened?
What happened was that as far as they were concerned, it was felony probation now. And if when you jump probation, that means they can put you in for the rest of the term of the probation, which came through about 2 years and 10 months.
And so they threatened you with that?
Yes, they did.
Why didn't you?
Now, don't misunderstand me, guys. Please listen to me. I believe him. I believe him. I do. Because the other motherfucker that we going to talk about too, that sold Fred Hampton out, because this is going to be a 2-part series. This is the guy that was selling niggas out in Watts, out there in the Los Angeles area. The other nigga that we going to get into, his name is Perry. Okay? He was the motherfucker that got Fred Hampton killed. He was Fred Hampton's right-hand man. Okay? So we're going to dive into this shit. But for right now, I want you guys to understand, this sounds like some FBI shit. It do. If you guys remember the movie Belly, they did DMX the same way. Remember that shit? When DMX was in jail and shit, he kept calling Nas. He's like, man, you got to get me out of here. I got to get out of here before my prints clear. Remember? And the nigga got out and he was on the basketball court by himself playing ball and shit. And that dude approached him. Remember that? For him to go and join the Muslims and get close to the minister and all that. It happens, man. Not only do it happen, but they put that shit in movies. So I do, as of right now, up until this point, I do see what he's talking about. I do believe him. But anyway, let's go. Let's continue to listen.
Stand up to that.
I called the probation office in Sacramento first. They told me a warrant was out for my arrest and that I was going to jail.
Did you have any particular fear of jail?
Yes. I don't like to be shut in. I have a very, very dark fear of being shut up anywhere.
How would they have known this?
The only way they could have known that is from my psychological profile when I went into military intelligence, which they...
See, and I believe him. I do believe him, guys. I believe what he's saying. The FBI's that fucked up. They are. They some raunchy motherfuckers. That's not even some other. There are some good cops out here. I know some of them. I be looking. Y'all know me. I get niggas the side eye. Fuck you mean? I do believe what he's saying, man, about this whole thing about how they hemmed him up in it. Or how he allowed himself to be hemmed up in it. Because he still had a choice. Right? But what they did to lure him, I believe him. I believe him. I do. I really do.
Based on all people that work in military intelligence.
So you bent and you decided to go to work for them?
Yes.
How would you...
Also, too, because of what he's talking about right now, this is one of the reasons why I stay to myself. I stay to myself. I don't have no real vices. You know what I'm saying? I don't do no any and everything just to smoke a blunt. I don't fuck with women. You know, no homo. You know, I ain't gay or bisexual or nothing, but I've given up on that woman shit, relationships and all that. So you can't lure me in with some bride. Because women do this type of work too. Now they're going to talk about that in this video. Women do it too. It's not just men that work for the FBI. You got women. You got some of our sisters that do this shit. But anyway, let me stop because I want to play a significant part of it because I want to make a point.
Say that most of those who are doing the same thing that you did have gotten into that behavior. The same way you did, they were coerced.
Of course, pressure. Some can take it for. I think some might do it for the pay, for the feeling of power. It's a natural syndrome for a powerless person, giving a pedestal where he can direct, or he can say, well, this man goes to jail or this man stays free. They get a feeling of security from it.
For the FBI, did you get an indoctrination or did you just start cold?
No, I got an indoctrination. It started off with camera surveillance, electronic techniques, surveillance, shadowing, the obtaining of let's say letters, empty envelopes, instructions on how to go to somebody's garbage containers and pick out useful items. You'd be surprised at the things that they take out of a garbage can, by the way. I mean, anywhere from the leftover food from breakfast, just to know what this guy eats for breakfast, you know. When they become interested in a person or a group of people, they try to find out as much as they possibly can, psychologically and academically and social-wise.
And even with all of that information that they obtained, they still need to send somebody like him. That go to show you just how powerless they are. They go through your garbage cans, they read your emails, they, visit whatever porn sites you was on or whatever the case may be. But even with all of that, they got to send another motherfucker to you. And it's usually another motherfucker that look just like you.
Who do they run with? Do they go to certain nightclubs? Does this one have a sex hang up? Is the man impudent? Anything that can be used later on.
How long was this indoctrination?
It lasts anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. What is the most sophisticated equipment that you use as far as eavesdropping is concerned?
The video setup, and also I work with the new, I think it's called parabolic reflectors for sound pickup. Very interesting piece of equipment.
How is that used?
Okay, it reminds you of a disc. Have you ever seen those radioscopes?
Yeah.
You know how they're a disc and then there is a
cone behind it.
Cone in the center, right?
Yeah.
Okay, these parabolic reflectors were just like that, except a smaller version, and you would point it in the direction of where you wanted to pick up the sound from.
And how far away can it pick up sound?
I think it was, anywhere from, the ones I use from 200 to 500 yards.
What?
Oh, yeah.
And that's crazy as fuck, because that's back in the 1960s. So imagine what the fuck they got today. They could hear an angel fart.
Distinct, very distinct. You could be in a building, like say we're here right now, okay? Okay, not the next building, but the building behind. Let's say it's a little bit taller. Okay, I could point that parabolic reflector from there to this window, and I could pick up. That's how good it was.
Through the window?
Oh, yeah. The window didn't have to be open. The window didn't have to be open at all.
How does one go about tailing a person? Describe that. Is there a particular art? You say you have to be taught that.
Well, there is a particular art to it, but, okay, let me state, number one, the easiest way is to get close to the person so you can run with him. That's the best way. Okay, the second best way is the thing I've called trial and error observation, where you would go around and you would follow this guy, let's say, from a distance of anywhere from a half block to a block, as long as you can keep him in sight. And then you find out certain locales or certain places that this man goes to every day. Now, if you can get a set pattern of places that this man goes to every day, you got him down. That's what they needed to know.
So after a couple of weeks, you were ready to go to work? this indoctrination period is more sophisticated today?
Probably much more so sophisticated for the simple reason that they're probably more severe on them as far as rating is concerned. Simply because of all the disclosures that are being made against them. I think they're being very, very careful. And when they sink their hooks in, I think they're making sure that it is tight, airtight.
In your experience, did you ever...
And this is one of the reasons for why to this day the FBI has like a 98% hit rate. Somebody drop down in the comment section, man, if I'm wrong on that. It's like 96 to 98% conviction rate. Straight up. This is one of the reasons for why, and now mind you, that 96 to 98% conviction rate, the vast majority of that is confessions, cop-outs. This is one of the biggest difference between the FBI and local cops, or even the state police. This is one of the hugest difference between them. By the time they come up and tap you on your fucking shoulders, man, you might as well just hand the car keys to your woman. Straight up.
The FBI tried to sway newspaper or media news.
Oh, hey, let me run this down to you. LA Times, man. I went over there and picked up press passes from certain people over there. Let me see. Some people that work for NBC
TV?
Yes, in Los Angeles, used to get press passes to the bureau and stuff. Fact is, we used to get some camera equipment from there.
So a lot of this news film was probably turned over to the FBI.
Oh, sure.
Was definitely turned over.
Oh, hey, they had a lot of reporters, and well, you know, it was that old game of when.
And y'all keep hearing me say, man, y'all wonder why y'all keep hearing me say these motherfuckers is an agent. This nigga's a fed. He an agent. He a fed. You wonder why y'all keep hearing me say this shit. Listen to me, guys. They're all on YouTube. Listen to me. I'm going to say it again. They're all on YouTube. They're all on TikTok. They're all on Instagram. And I ain't talking about just sitting back in the shadows listening to people content and all that. I'm talking about some of the content creators are the FBI. And some of them look just like us. Let me even go as further to say, you have motherfuckers that are in the so-called indigenous aboriginal community that look just like us, and these niggas are the FBI. I can't say it no simpler than that, man.
And worse is the other. Usually an agent would prefer to meet the reporter on a one-on-one basis, you understand what I mean? Build a rapport with him, you know, go out to the press club, buy him a few drinks, you know, take him out to Hollywood Park, you know, for the races, you know, that kind of thing. Say, hey, Jim, you know, your paper's covering such and such, or your TV station's covering such and such. And, yeah, I just like a little bit more information than I've been getting. I need it, you know. It would kind of help me, you know what I mean? A personal favor. And if you do something for me, maybe I can do something for you, you know, in the future. Like, you know, when we're about to break a case, you'll be the first to know, that kind of thing.
What kind of work did you end up doing as an undercover agent?
And that's how motherfuckers like Peter Jennings, Barbara Walters, and all the rest of them motherfuckers got to where they were. Don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about.
Espionage work or informant work?
Informant work, and also what you would call illegal entries, selling of weapons, selling of explosives, arson.
You would sell weapons and explosives to these so-called radical groups that you were joining?
Yes.
All right. Where did you...
Now, mind you, they talked about that. If anybody is watching following the TV show Godfather of Harlem with Forrest Whitaker, and I know at the beginning of every show they say that a lot of the shit that you see in here is not real. I know that. I know, because I can hear somebody saying that now. But they talk about that in Godfather of Harlem. Motherfuckers that look just like them was selling them grenades and rocket launchers and shit. And these motherfuckers were the feds, man.
Correct. I was given a cover name, Ed Riggs. With that, I was also given a birth certificate stating that both my parents were a birth certificate and a record for a Robert Riggs and a Mary Riggs who were deceased.
This is the reason for why, like the one brother, Cameru or whatever the brother's name is, he down there in South America. Real sharp brother, man, when it come down to some of the information that he's put out. But some of the videos I do not touch is when he's saying he's done other people's genealogy. And it's because of this. Because documents can be forged. Documents can be replaced. Then some of the people that he's done genealogy on, some of them motherfuckers are not the gender that we think they are. Some of them are the opposite gender. You know, and I'm just putting that out there, you know what I'm saying? You got to have your own mind. It's just like with me. I don't expect for a motherfucker to agree with everything I put out. As a matter of fact, I would love to have conversations with people about the stuff that they don't agree with so we can have an opportunity to enhance each other. So don't Cameru or Kamiru, Kumerio or something like that. Don't get offended by me saying that. But the genealogy videos you make, bro, because documents can be forged and altered and all of that, I don't really rely on that, man. Especially when it comes down, because he be doing genealogy on celebrities and shit. And like I keep trying to tell y'all, the celebrities are the feds. Tyler Perry is an agent. Oprah Winfrey is an agent. Michael Jordan is an agent. Shaquille O'Neal is an agent. Morgan Freeman is an agent. Denzel Washington is a fed. He is. They all fucking agents.
And you lost all of your true identity?
Yes.
And you operated in California?
California.
What cities in California?
Los Angeles, Oakland, San Francisco, Berkeley, Sacramento, Chino, San Bernardino, Santa Cruz.
Any other states in California?
Yeah. Chicago, New York. Made 2 trips to Washington, D.C. Also, I better put in Seattle, Washington. That's very important, too.
How does the FBI coordinate this information? You were one of a number of agents who were doing this. How did they correlate and coordinate this flow of information? How many agents, let's start with that, how many agents were working in a given city like LA?
Okay, now, you just heard the dude call him an agent, and he admitted that that's what he was, right? Let me break something down for y'all. Just because you didn't go through the FBI training, just because you don't have an actual badge and gun, does not mean you're not an agent. All it takes is for you to be on their payroll. That's it. And they were paying him to do it. He made that clear. They was paying him to do what he was doing. That's all it takes for you to be an agent, man. That's why motherfuckers sit back and say, well, how is Tyler Perry an agent? I just told you how. He on the payroll. They pay him to deceive people and to corrupt people with that Medea shit. They paid Tyler Perry to fuck us over as a collective with our people and our image around the world with these movies that he's made. He's an agent. How do you think he has the wealth that he has? They allow him, whatever little fake ass wealth he had, because first off, these niggas are not wealthy. You might think they're wealthy, but they're not. If they came out and told you years ago that on your MTV cribs, that those were not those rappers' real cribs, and in most cases, those are not their real Bugattis and Lamborghinis, well, then you got to know that the same thing works for actors and musicians. They're owned. Like, for example, I believe Denzel Washington's wife is his handler. I believe Samuel L. Jackson's wife is his handler. That's just me. Now, I might be reaching. I know somebody sit back like Lone Wolf, get the fuck out of here, bro. You tripping. You tripping. I don't think I am, though. But if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I believe that shit with all my heart.
In the late 60s.
Jesus. talking about a lot of people. Like I said before, in the state, I would say 700 to 1,000. In Los Angeles, which was a large concentrated area of blacks, we're talking about anywhere from 300 to 400 people. San Francisco, probably the same thing.
So they had 300 to 400 people, just like him, working in the Los Angeles area alone. Your motherfucking next door neighbor is a Fed. Y'all better stop. Oh my God, man. Y'all motherfuckers better stop playing, man. And y'all wonder why I be telling you, man, bro, I don't do that internet fighting. I don't do all that arguing and all that shit. When I had that one altercation, a little while ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, or whatever the case may be, y'all saw I shut down. Motherfuckers said what they said to me. I responded and that was it. I was gone. I ain't got time for that shit, man. This life we living, this internet shit and all that, this shit is dangerous. This is dangerous, man. That's why I don't do no internet fighting and all. Yeah, nigga, come see me. Yeah, I'm right here, nigga. Man, I don't do that shit. You crazy as fuck. I do not do shit like that. Now, you call me a bitch, nigga, you can call me what you want. I call myself realistic. I call myself being somebody that's got some fucking sense. Okay? You call me a pussy, you call me what you want. But I'm not finna get on YouTube and be fighting with nobody. Making videos of shit, targeting people in. Calling motherfuckers out and yeah, you bitch nigga. No. Now, if you on here on some shady sucker shit, then yeah, I'll put that out. But that's because you deceiving the people. Like I did the video about the Jarretts, Tara and Drew Jarrett and shit. Yeah, I did that because they didn't took thousands of people's social security numbers and fucking driver's license numbers and shit and didn't deliver. So yeah, I'll put them niggas out there like that. And be like, yeah, look at this motherfucker. Well, look at what they doing. Or how y'all heard me tell y'all about how Colinago and Dane Calloway scammed me out of money. Well, they did. So yeah, I'm going to say Dane Calloway name. Yeah, I'm going to say Colinago name. Yeah, because they scammed me out of money. But if it's not for something like that, man, I'm not going to be on here doing all that shit. I don't have time for that. And when y'all hear me bring up Dane Calloway and Colinago, it's just to let you guys know, hey, man, get them motherfuckers money at y'all own peril. Can you dig it? That's all I'm saying. I'm letting you know this is what these niggas did to me. Dane Calloway was selling those packages, $39, $49, and $69 or whatever. It was about almost 10 years ago. The man did not give me what I paid for. Colinago did not give me the help that he claimed that he would help me with when they took my fucking son from me. And I gave that man like $200 fucking dollars. So yeah, I'm gonna get on here and I'm gonna say their name. Yeah, because they scamming motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? But outside of that, like I said, motherfucker called me out, I responded, and I moved the fuck on. I'm talking about deleted the motherfuckers, unsubscribed to the nigga and the whole 9 yards. Bye, I'm gone. And it's because of this shit right here. The man said that they had like 300 to 400 motherfucking people in Los Angeles that was doing the exact same shit as him. Men and women. Your motherfucking next door neighbor is an agent. Fucking tell me I don't know what I'm talking about.
Large concentration of black people. Wherever there was a large concentration of blacks or a large concentration of minorities. Don't let me only say blacks because we're talking about the Chicanos and we're talking about the Chinese too.
But among every ethnic group, there were ethnic groups of that group who could be recruited by the FBI to infiltrate their own.
Right.
Did you hear that, man? How many times have y'all heard me tell y'all the ruling class is like 1% of the population? Fuck it, we'll give them credit. We'll say 2% of the population. 2% of the population can't control the other 98% without help from the 98%. I've been telling fucking people this shit for the longest. And here it is. Every time you get on YouTube, every time you get on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and all this other shit, you see these niggas carrying on the way that they do. This is the reason for why y'all keep hearing me say, man, I don't give a fuck about views and likes and subscribers and all that other shit, because the more people I have in my circle, the harder it is to watch these niggas. I'm going to say it again. Y'all keep hearing me tell y'all, I don't care about likes and all this other shit. I get on here to say what I got to say for anybody who's willing to listen. Take the information as you will and do what the fuck you want to do with it. That's it. I'm not interested in having 2, 3, 4 million fucking subscribers. I can't watch all them people. I can't watch all them motherfucking people, man. Straight up. And if there were 300 or 400 motherfucking people like him in Los Angeles back in 1968, it's 3,000 or 4,000 today. That's the bottom line.
And get a sense of how much money American taxpayers were laying out for this kind of exercise. What was your salary?
When I started with the Bureau, I was making, $200 a week plus expenses. When I left the Bureau, I was making close to about $800 a week, and also some expenses too.
So it might run as high as $1,000 a week.
Yes, it's according to what assignments you were put on at the time.
And statewide, there was 750 agents.
700 to 1,000. It might have been more than 1,000 statewide. People are into a fantasy world when they believe that the Federal Bureau of Investigation finds out what it finds out through the method of scientific investigation, that the agents can just go out and they can plot a course and they can follow a man everywhere and they take notes and such. That's not the name of the game. The name of the game is find someone that is close to that man or can get close to that man or that group or whatever and have him do the legwork.
That's the reason for why you're not supposed to do dirt with other people. You really shouldn't be involved in any criminal activity at this point today. And I know it's very difficult to do because of the way the world is set up. It's set up for you to commit crime. But I would have to say that if a motherfucker's finna be out here today doing crazy shit, committing crimes or, let's say bank robbery or whatever, which, you got to be a fucking idiot to try to rob a bank today. Because you're not going to get no more than what's in the teller's drawer. And that's not going to be nothing but maybe a few $1,000s. You may have, that teller may have, I don't know, maybe 10,000 in her drawer. Maybe, if that. Right? But it's better to do that shit by yourself and not to be involved with anybody. Now, I'm not telling nobody to go out and rob a bank. I don't rob banks. Why the fuck would I tell somebody else to do it? But what I'm saying is that if a person is going to be involved in that type of lifestyle, it's best for you to be a hermit and a loner. But that's just me, man. Like I said, I don't advise anybody to go out and commit crimes, especially stupid ass shit, because that's a setup. You know what I'm saying? But it's better to just keep to yourself is what I'm saying. Straight up.
So in other words, there obviously then would have to be more informants than agents.
Definitely.
What would the ratio be? 10 to 1?
I think every special agent usually has anywhere from 6 to 7 what I would call prime informants or agent provocateurs. And then also you have anywhere from 20 to 25 people per agent also that are not really what you would call the everyday informant or agent provocateur, meaning that person is not on a steady payroll by the Bureau, but every once in a while they will go to that person for information.
What is your speculation on what recently happened in Miami? Would you suspect that there has been a number of agents or informants that have descended on Miami since that eruption?
Oh, definitely. And not only from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, too. You'll have people from military intelligence and the CIA, for the simple reason that they want to find.
Now, mind you, a little fun fact history, the military intelligence, they gave birth to all of this. The military intelligence gave birth to the FBI, the CIA, Homeland Security. It gave birth to that. It started it. Before there was the FBI, you had military intelligence. Before the CIA, you had military intelligence. That's what gave birth to it. Just for anybody who didn't know.
And the CIA and the military intelligence people want to find out, is this anything connected with some kind of foreign agency? That's their prime objective. The Bureau wants to find out whether this was a organized type of mass movement that's going on. Are there leaders? Are there central people that started this? They want to find that out. Who was the one that was out there getting the group of people together and said, hey, let's go get this? They they want to know that.
How would you tell a member of a community that they might be able to spot an informant? How is that possible? Can you spot one? Or what should one look for? Let's say someone in Liberty City.
Well, it's like this. Informants come in all sizes, colors, and attitudes. There is no definite way, unless you can get hold of his telephone bill, and if you can connect the number with a bureau office, and you got him. But
the fact that they're not working steady and yet are able to eat and get around doesn't mean anything.
Not so much in the black communities. That's one of the hard things, because there's such thing as hustling. And some people are known as good hustlers. So people don't tend to trip off of them. Hey, Blood, I don't know how Blood did it. Blood probably did. He robbed somebody, or hey man, he's selling some weed, or whatever,
Would it necessarily have to be a new face in the community?
No. Now, the fact is, they tend to shy away from that. What they try to do is get someone that's already situated. It's much easier.
How did Biggie say it? How did Biggie Smalls say it? He said it's the ones that smoke blunts with ya, see your picture. Now they want to grab the gats and come and get ya. I bet you Biggie won't slip. I got the calico with the black tires loaded in the clip. It's always the people that's the closest to you. It never fails, because that's the person you don't expect. It never fails, man. Mind you, this is an interview from back in the 80s. He was doing what he was doing back in the 60s. This interview came in the 80s. It never fails. And you know the reason for why they can get away with this kind of shit is because we don't have no code for treason. But anyway, let's roll.
Much, much easier. If they have what they call a prime informant, one that has been trained, that knows how to get into the group. Say he's with another group and he's made a name for himself. Okay, and then there is a group that the Bureau is interested in. Well, what they would like for him to do then is use his rep from the other group to deal with it.
What do you base your conjecture or your statement that FBI operations and surveillance is more extensive today than it ever was? Why would there be? There doesn't seem to be the kind of organizations that existed in the 60s. Why would there be an even greater surveillance on the part of the government?
Well, you have to look at it from the standpoint that the Bureau looks at it. And to them, organization or no organization, as long as there's one or two people or a handful of people that still think in the mold of some of the groups in the 60s, then they will be watching them. You can believe it.
Then we moved into the area of budget, how the Bureau operates.
That helps you understand why they doing what they doing on YouTube and all these other social media platforms, where they finna get ready and lock that shit down and prevent people from getting on YouTube without ID and all this other shit. Yuri Benzvanov told you, he said that only 10 to 12, maybe 15% of what they do involves manpower, somebody being killed, or whatever the case may be. He said the other 85% is subversion. Oh, man. Anyway.
And manages its money.
The FBI has holdings in different companies. They have storefronts, businesses.
Wait a minute now.
Did y'all hear that? Did you hear what he just... Let me go back.
Believe it.
Then we moved into the area of budget, how the Bureau operates and manages its money.
The FBI has holdings in different companies. They have storefronts, businesses.
Wait a minute now. Why would they have holdings in companies, stock holdings in companies?
It's extra money.
Oh, you mean they get such a big budget and they may not use it?
They fucking sell drugs. They run guns. The game, man, listen to me. The game is deep. This is why I don't tolerate a lot of shit on YouTube. I'm going to say it again. This is the reason why I don't tolerate a lot of stuff on YouTube. I don't tolerate a lot of stuff on social media. Well, y'all already know I don't have no social media accounts. The only one I have is Facebook. I don't have the app on my phone. I do have Messenger on my phone just for emergencies. You know what I'm saying? But anybody that can reach me on Messenger can reach me on my phone. So I don't even be on Messenger like that. You know what I'm saying? But I do pop on there every now and again just to see if somebody looking for me or, you know, whatever the case may be. Now, as far as Instagram and Skype and Twitter and all that, I don't have that shit. I don't have none of that shit. None of it. And if I was you, I would delete my shit. I would delete your shit if I was you. Get off of that shit, man. Straight up. Because it makes it difficult for them.
In a particular year, so they invest in the stock market.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The Bureau could, if...
It's just like I told y'all before. They say, well, you know, every Hollywood script has to be vetted by the CIA before they can turn it into a movie. Y'all been hearing me tell y'all for the longest, no, Hollywood is the CIA. Y'all been hearing me say that shit for the longest. There ain't no motherfucking Hollywood scripts being vetted by the CIA. The CIA is Hollywood. They the motherfuckers that's writing these scripts. And now they're using AI to do it. You know, you can use AI to make a rap song now. You do know that, right? But anyway, continue.
If federal funding was cut off to the Bureau right now, it could still go at full budget, I guess, for the next, 5, maybe 6 years.
Is it for this reason that the FBI has been able to stand up against many other governments?
This is the reason for why they always fail their audits, or they never comply with the audits to begin with, meaning they never give over the information. This is the reason for why to this day we still don't know how much gold is in Fort Knox. Remember that? Remember how they, oh yeah, we're going to audit Fort Knox and da-da-da, and you ain't heard shit else about that. But anyway, let's go.
Agencies.
You have to understand the person that started the Bureau and his background, J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar made an agency that was answerable to nobody but J. Edgar.
And how was he able to do that, sir? One man can't do that alone. That's bullshit. Now, I'm not challenging what he's saying. I'm just asking how the fuck is that possible? How is that possible? One man can never create an agency like that all by himself. No way. No way. Now, he might have been the face of the FBI, but he didn't create shit. That's bullshit.
There hasn't been a president that would dare call the FBI out on the carpet. Why?
Why?
Number one, just like they do background or surveillance on us, I suspect they do it to quite a few people up there in the Capitol. Senators, presidents, vice presidents. Everybody's got a skeleton in his closet.
And that's just bringing me to my next point. A lot of people think that these people get in office because of campaign contributions and all of these different things. And a lot of people think that, well, you know, they got to sway in the direction of their constituents because their constituents are the ones that gave all this campaign money for them to get in office and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no. The motherfuckers who get in office, they got dirt on them. You either do what the fuck we tell you or else. It's just that fucking simple. Ain't no campaign money. Ain't no motherfucking donations and, oh yeah, you know, this motherfucker got a $2 million donation from IBM and no. The motherfucker that got in office, like we'll use Donald Trump. They got so much fucking juice on Donald Trump, it ain't funny. Donald Trump is doing exactly what he's been instructed to do. And people don't even see that. And I'm talking about by the higher ups, by the CIA, by the top motherfuckers in the FBI. And for you guys who don't know, Kash Patel ain't running shit. Kash Patel is not the head of the fucking FBI. He's the face for it. He's not the head. He don't run shit. He fucking follow orders like everybody else. But anyway.
And on top of that, he's rendered the FBI financially independent.
Yes. The allotments for their budget has grown bigger and bigger with each year. While I was in the Bureau for 7 years, the budget grew bigger and bigger. It's the thing that the monies not spent are always sent back to the government. Okay, but if you notice, the Bureau never sends any money back. Never. It uses its total budget, which is almost unheard of, except for the CIA, and they do the same thing. I guess
That's the reason for why they don't comply with audits. The CIA and the FBI has never complied with an audit when it come down to their budget. What they spent that money on, how much they got left, how the money is being spent, what people on the payroll that makes up part of the budget, etc. They never respond to those audits. Never. And nobody never do anything. Nobody in government never does anything. They never force them to do it. They never fire them because they refused or nothing. These are just things I just hope and pray to God that people start thinking about, man.
Super patriots, they always have to figure that someday maybe the government might become corrupt with communists and leftists and black and communists and minorities and whatever, and that the FBI would have to function on its own bravely by itself. So J. Edgar Hoover had the foresight to make sure that the FBI would have a little nest egg around so it could conquer these subversives,
And work west. What groups did you infiltrate in New York?
In New York, it was the Black Panther Party, Queens section.
How far into the organization did you get, and how'd you do it?
What I did was I was a member of the party already in the California area. All I did was travel up and say I was checking out the party in the Queens area. What happened was, I only stayed with that assignment for, 2.5 days. We found out then that it was infiltrated heavily by the New York Police Department.
And there was no need for your services?
There was no need for my services.
Let's go back to the 60s. In the first interview, you touched on...
He said that it was heavily infiltrated by the New York City Police Department. That means those motherfuckers was melanated. There weren't no pale-skinned Black Panthers. That kind of would go against the fucking name. Right? Not to mention you ain't never seen a white panther in your fucking life. I'm talking about the animal. You ain't never seen no fucking white panther. So that means those motherfuckers was niggas. Oh, man.
The fact that you were involved in some way in the robbery of arms from the armory, weapons from the armory.
Yes.
Give us the details and what just went down.
What happened was that the Black Liberation Army, was in need of weapons. This was relayed to my supervising agent.
By you?
By me. Okay. He said, well, why don't you go back to them and tell them that you have a plan to get some weapons?
What year was this incident?
Jesus, I don't really remember.
Okay. All right.
I don't really remember. It was early 70s, I know that. What happened was, I didn't live that far from the Cotton Armory. It was right up the street. And what the plan was that I laid out to him, that on parade day, they only had one guard at the armory, and it would be very easily to go in there and get the weapons.
What role did the Bureau play in allowing you access or to facilitate access to rip off these arms?
Oh, they worked out the whole thing. They made sure that that there were no guards, except for, I think it was there one guard? I think there was one. No, there wasn't. There wasn't anybody, as a matter of fact. That was the thing that kind of made me nervous about the whole thing, because I said, damn, you're supposed to have... It looks kind of phony when you go to an armory on a military base that's located near the Compton Watt area, and there's no guard in there with the weapons.
This is by day or by night?
This happened during the day.
What time of day?
So the FBI set it up to where this motherfucker could go to a military armory and steal these grenades and bazookas and all this other shit that they were selling on the fucking streets. Do you know that has not changed? Do you know that the vast majority of these motherfuckers that's selling these firearms to these little motherfuckers that's in the hood today are agents? And they look just like the motherfuckers they selling the firearms to, man. And y'all wonder why I get on here and I'm so full of rage and I'm so full of anger all the time. Because it hasn't changed. It hasn't stopped. And it's because we won't do anything about it. But anyway.
Morning? No. It was late afternoon.
So what happened? You went into the armory via... How did you get in?
What we did was...
How many?
It was 6 of us all together.
Okay.
And we cut there was a chain with a lock. We cut the chain, opened the gate, shimmied on in, got over to where the armory was, opened the door, nobody was there, took the weapons and split. But the thing about it was the firing...
Ain't that a crime? Wouldn't that make the FBI an accessory? I mean, I'm just saying, man. I thought that was the way it worked. I'm just saying.
Pins were taken out of the 16. The firing pins were taken out of the 60 caliber machine guns. The grenade launchers, they were ready, no doubt. They were in 81. Nothing had been tampered with them. I couldn't understand that.
Why would the Bureau be interested in collaborating to allow the theft of these weapons, so that knowing that they were going to go to the SBA or the BLA?
Well, it's like this.
SLA, I'm sorry.
Well, there's a thing called a controlled situation. And what is meant by controlled situation is that you know who has what and what they intend to do with it. Then also you can also have someone or something where you can exert a little pressure to make sure that they do such and such a thing. They don't deviate. And the Bureau was very into controlled situations.
So in other words, when they got these weapons, they could then be goaded or lured into getting into some activity that would make them vulnerable.
Right.
In other words, set up.
Right.
At this juncture, Perry began talking about a man called Elmer Geronimo Pratt, who Perry says is serving time for a crime he couldn't have committed.
Going to allow a person like Elmer Pratt to sit up 9 years in jail for nothing. The man did nothing except that he was a leader in the Black Panther Party, and they wanted him out of the way. The Bureau.
So, what happened?
Well, there was a murder, right? The murder happened in Los Angeles. Elmer Pratt was in Oakland, okay? Elmer Pratt was under 24-hour surveillance, both physical and SE, electronic, okay? The Bureau, at any time after LAPD picked up Elmer Pratt, could have went down there and said, hey, look, you made a mistake. The guy was in Oakland. Okay? They didn't. They sit back and let it happen because they wanted the man out of the way.
That is so fucked up. How is that like not criminal, man? Like, I'm not laughing because I'm taking it as a joke. I'm laughing. You know how sometimes you laugh at something when you're kind of uncomfortable. I'm laughing because, like, man, this is fucked up. Wow, dude. So you know this man was innocent. You know he was in Oakland at the time of when this murder happened. Y'all had this nigga under strict surveillance. The man probably had his penis in a woman's mouth at the time when the person was being murdered. And you all were aware of this? And you all allowed that man to go to prison for 9 years? Wow, man, that's pretty fucked up. As an actual agent within the Bureau, right? And I'm talking about for the ones who did go through the training and all this other shit that's got the badge and the firearm and all that. How do y'all live with y'allself, man? What is the justification that you tell yourself every day to get up every day and do this shit? That's the thing that's always gotten me. I've never understood that.
It's
Here's a man that got a Bronze Star and a Silver Star. Pratt. Right, Elmer Geronimo Pratt. When he got out of the service, he joined the Black Panther Party because it was a cause that he thought was just and he thought was right. Possibly, and I'm not saying, don't let me paint him a saint, the man possibly did some things, but he did not commit a murder. You know? And let me tell you something about Elmer Pratt. And this is from personal observation. The man was honest, the man was upright, and his word was his bond. You know? And he wouldn't go.
And see, that's the thing that pissed me off, because I do believe that there were a lot of people in the Black Panther Party or any other movement, because that wasn't the only movement they had back then. I do believe that the overwhelmingly vast majority of those people were good people, man. I believe that the overwhelmingly vast majority of those people just wanted fairness and righteousness done by their people, but done to their people. You know what I'm saying? I really believe that shit, man. And this is what they did to him as a result of it. That is so fucked up. That is so fucked up. And you know what? As always, y'all know me. You know the original Lone Wolf. I'm blaming us for that. Or at least our people back then. You know, back at this time period that he's talking about, I blame our own people for that. And the reason for why is because they might not have knew that a lot of these motherfuckers was traitors and treasonous motherfuckers. But once they found out, they supposed to got dealt with, man. And none of them did. None of them did. And if you go back and do the whole interview with this guy, he even go into talking about how the FBI hung him out to dry. After all that shit he did, they hung his ass out to dry. But anyway.
Doing a jive-ass robbery on a damn tennis court and kill someone? That's just not Elmer Pratt. He was set up, he was railroaded from the get.
Right, and that's exactly what people would say about me. People who know me, they know I would never do no shit like that. Go and blow a motherfucker away on the tennis court or on the basketball court and rob them or whatever. I don't do shit like that, man. And the people who know me will tell you that. That's just not me. That's fucked up though, man.
I'm surprised they didn't try to kill him in prison. And I'll be surprised if they don't attempt to do it now. Because now people are starting to make waves. Finally, people are starting to realize, after the man's been in there 9 years, and oh by the way, four years of that was in solitary confinement. Was the Compton...
So you put him in a tiny ass room. If solitary confinement looks like, you know, how it's been described or how it's been seen on TV or whatever the case may be, basically you in a cell that's smaller than your original cell. You don't have no lights. A lot of times they take your bed and shit. You don't have no motherfucking mattress. You don't have no blanket or nothing. And you just sleep on a cold ass concrete floor. And the only time you get any type of light or whatever is through the crack under the door or when they open up your fucking open up the joint to slide your fucking thing through the chuck hole. Now, if solitary confinement is anything similar to that, that's fucked up. For 4 years you had that man in there like that, and we didn't do a fucking thing about it. That's the shit that break my heart, man. The overwhelmingly vast majority of our people didn't do anything about that, man. It also make you think about Larry Hoover too, but I don't want to turn this into that. You know, y'all know I'm in Chicago, well, but I don't want it to be about that. But it do kind of make you think about Larry Hoover and some of these other gang leaders or whatever that ended up suffering some of a similar fate as Larry Hoover or just ended up fucking dead altogether. But anyway, let's go.
The only instance where you supplied arms to Liberation or Black Groups? No. I supplied handguns, a few other things, quite a few people. The Community Freedom School, I gave them the ID, the money, and told them the store to go to purchase weapons, and what weapons to purchase. Have you witnessed murder? One. Fred Bennett. Were there ties to the Bureau involved in this murder? Well, let me put it to you like this. Fred Bennett? Fred Bennett was a sort of low-ranking Panther Party member in Oakland.
You see how the reporter, the news reporter is his handler? You see how he doing certain things to make sure he don't say certain shit? But anyway, I'm a stickler for this kind of stuff. I notice I'm very into human behavior. I'm very into human conversations, the type of conversations people have, i.e. the topics, the way they deliver their conversations, the way they steer the conversation. I'm into that. I study that kind of shit. But anyway, let's go.
He was with the national headquarters. I found out later on that there was a great possibility, or that he might have been really a informant, but of a very low caliber.
Well, what happened? What did you see?
Well, I went up in a Jeep in the Santa Cruz Mountains with Jimmy Carr, Fred Bennett, and myself, and some white guy. Also, I would find out later on that the white guy was working for the Bureau also. Mosier, I think his name was.
What happened?
Anyway, we get up there to the mountain.
Now you see how they allow him to say that one informant name, but at the beginning of the interview, he was trying to. He said two different agents' name, but they blotted it out. They wouldn't let you hear it. You see how they'll protect the agent, but they didn't protect the informant. Like, man, that's fucked up, man. Like, ooh, this is a dirty ass game, man. Continue.
In this six, we got an informant here.
In the car?
In the car. And when he said that, the first name that clicked through my head was, excuse the expression, Jimmy Carr was not one to be trifling with. The brother had been in and out of prison all his life. For him to cut somebody's throat or to possibly physically beat them to death would have been no problem. He was a big, big brother. The only thing that I could think of, well, the man's hands was on the steering wheel. Let me try to take his head off before he takes mine off. I was armed also.
So what did you do?
I jumped and I said, hey, what you talking about, man? And that's when he pulled his 357 and he said,
Car?
Yeah, he said, I'm talking about Freddie. And what I thought was going to happen, now when he stopped it, he took him out, he chastised him, right, slapped him around a lot. And then he took him up the hill. What I thought he was going to do was, like beat the guy up severely, break a leg, arm, whatever, mess his head up a little taste, and then leave him out there. The next thing I know, me and Mosier, the white guy, we're standing by the Jeep, and we hear 3 shots go off. And then Carr comes down the hill, and he says, hey, you guys got to help me get rid of the body. And I'm thinking, oh, he killed him. That's, but the thing was also, I was saying, play it like it is, don't act like you're going to panic or anything, So we went back up the hill. The white boy was greatly agitated. I mean, he's scared. Excuse the expression. We went up there. He had almost actually decapitated the man. Have you ever seen a 357? Have you seen what he could do?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, his head was on, like off. And we got some brush, some wood.
Hey, you know what? You know what? I might be low on capacity, right? In comparison to like a 9mm or, something to that effect. I might be low down on capacity. But did you hear what he just said? Boy, 357 Magnum ain't nothing to be trifled with. I'm telling you. Take it from the lone wolf. Take it from all of the hours of range time and the motherfucking all of the rounds that I done put down range. Listen to me, man. A 357 Magnum is so motherfucking powerful. When I go to an outdoor range, right? Oh man, let me see. Here it is. The dirt mound, because they use big giant dirt mounds and shit. That's what's behind where you're shooting, right? That dirt mound from where I'm standing at, where my firearms is, where I got my ammo in that, all that shit. That dirt mound is probably, oh guys, damn, I don't want to lie. That dirt mound is probably 20, 25 yards away, maybe 28 yards away, somewhere in there. Do you know that if I go out to the outdoor range and I'm out there after it had just got done raining, let's say I get to the range about 10 a.m. today, right? And it rained all last night though, right? So that means those dirt mounds are going to be muddy and wet, right? Do you know at 28 yards away, I can blow dirt back on me? Now here it is, I'm shooting at my target. You know what I'm saying? Just picture being at the range, right? I'm shooting at my target. The dirt mound that's catching these bullets, because we outside. They got big, giant dirt mounds. I mean, these motherfuckers are like 12, 14 feet high. Do you know that if that motherfucking dirt mound is still wet and muddy, from 28 yards away, I'm shooting, and those bullets is hitting that dirt mound so hard that dirt is blowing back, not only just onto me, but back on the counter to where my firearms and shit is sitting at. You see mud and shit. That's how hard, that's how powerful a 357 Magnum is blowing. It's blowing that hard. It's what he just described about Buddy's head, that's believable. I'm telling you, man. Bro shit was hanging. He done split this motherfucker's head wide the fuck open, man. But anyway, I might be low on capacity, man, but you can fuck around with 357 Magnum if you want to, and you gonna find out. For real, like the buddy he took up the hill found out. Damn, ooh-wee.
And got some gasoline for the Jeep, and car poured it over the body and threw a match, and he burned the body up. And when I got back, I called up my supervising agent immediately and told him exactly what happened. And do you know they did not do a damn thing? Nothing.
So, like, I don't understand this. This man confessed to being witness to a murder. And if he come forward and tell the authorities, it's kind of hard for the authorities to link him to it, especially if he wasn't the one that pulled the trigger, because anybody in court, including the jury, could say that, well, maybe he did know that guy was going to kill him. And because he wasn't the one that pulled the trigger, you know, you could kind of go along with that if he comes forward immediately and tell what happened. So this guy come forward, the first chance he get, he let the FBI know what happened and they didn't do shit. Damn. And you know what? I believe him. I'm not calling the nigga a lie. I'm not saying he lying. I'm saying that's fucked up. But they're good FBI agents. Get the fuck out of here.
George Jackson was a member of the controversial Black Panther Party who was killed while he was in prison. Reports are that Jackson was trying to escape from prison when he was gunned down in the prison yard. Perry had some information about that. As I recall, there was a good deal of public uproar about him being in the slams. And the chances were pretty good that he was going to get out because of this public pressure. If that's so, why would he be involved in such a sham attempt to break out of prison?
Okay, let me put it to you like this. I think that, okay, you have to understand the psychology of prison per se itself. Every inmate fantasizes about breaking out. Let me put it to you like that. Have you been there a year or so, you're going to be thinking about how can I get out of this place? The thing was, George Jackson thought that, and he probably thought correctly, that San Quentin officials under no circumstances were going to let that man walk away from that prison alive. Appeal or no appeal, probation or no probation. There are so many ways you can set a person up in prison. It's not funny, you know. I mean, they want you, they'll get you.
So not only because he hated the prison, but because his life was in jeopardy there.
Oh yeah, more so than I think more so that his life was in jeopardy. I was called by a group of so-called radical left in California to witness some fireworks fireworks up in Santa Cruz mountain area. When I talk about fireworks, I'm talking about explosives.
Not 4th of July.
Yeah.
What happened when you went to witness this testing of fireworks?
I took a Portapack unit with me, a kite. I videotaped the sequence of how they used the explosives, who was there, you know.
What kind of explosives were they actually?
They were, let me see, plastic explosives, and it was a solution somewhat like nitroglycerin or nitroglycerin, very high explosive.
Okay, so what happened after that?
Okay, I found out through Carr and two of the other people there that this was supplying this to them. I went back with the videotape to the Bureau, and I was later to find out that also worked for the Bureau.
Now, what was the real purpose that this group was testing these fireworks? Did they tell you at the time?
For a possible escape of George Jackson.
Okay, so what happened?
What happened was that James Carr, who was better known as Jimmy Carr, who was like a second lieutenant to George Jackson, also was one of his former cellmates, was setting up a escape plan.
Right.
Okay. Now, the thing that is very confusing at this point to me is that through the information that I have and from the times that I spoke to Jimmy, they were setting up the works, but they hadn't put anything in motion. In other words, they had been slipping certain items into Mr. Jackson at present through different means. But the time wasn't right at the time that George Jackson supposedly made the attempt.
But at any rate, a plan then was for someone to slip this stuff into prison and get it to either Jimmy Carr or George Jackson to effect a breakout.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Jimmy Carr was on the outside at that time.
I'm sorry. Okay.
But it was slipped into George.
Okay.
It was slipped in.
Okay.
Because the St. Val's turned up after the so-called prison breakout. If you remember, the day of the George Jackson assassination, and that's what the hell it was, Vanetta Anderson supposedly went to visit George Jackson. I am saying Vanetta Anderson did not visit George Jackson. I am saying that guys, there's a black woman who went to visit George Jackson. And I am saying also that Stephen Bingham, the attorney, was used by the way of handing the tape recorder to Stephen Bingham, to Bingham to take in, because there was no gun in that tape recorder. That gun was already inside there with George Jackson.
But apparently then, not only had the nitro and stuff been slipped to Jackson, but also there was a plan. And what was that plan?
Well, the plan that we knew about, or let me say, the plan that I knew about personally was the plan where they were supposed to blow the east wall of the president. Jackson, in turn, was supposed to have taken a chain, some long metal object, thrown it around the wires and grounded it. That's cutting out the power to the president, and then escape off in the darkness with jeeps, with armed people that Carr knew.
But what actually did happen?
What actually did happen, okay. Now, this is only a hypothesis on my part. But what I think, since the present authorities and the Bureau were well aware of what Jackson was planning to do, that they forced his hand. Also, I believe that one of the guards had the 9mm pistol. There is no way in hell that George Jackson could have got that 9mm pistol smuggled in. because that 9mm pistol was confiscated over a year ago from Landon Williams during a raid. Oakland Police Department had it in their possession. It went from the Oakland Police Department to the Bureau, and from the Bureau it disappeared up until the time Jackson supposedly had that snuck in where, he hid it in a wig or whatever they said he did, whatever lie he came up with.
So you're saying then that George Jackson was given these vials that were actually duds, and then he ran out thinking that it was nitro, threw it against the wall, ping, they didn't go off, and he was blown away.
Right. And the thing that backs that to the max is that the brother that went out with him also had 2 of the tubes. But the thing was, the prison authorities put them in a basket, and they took the tubes out into the center of the yard, and supposedly they stood back from a long distance and shot their weapons at it, breaking the tubes and the contents. The contents were all spilled out, and so there was no way to examine those. They did find 1 tube, and that was in George's cell. But no one's ever been able to get their hands on it due to some legal process brought down by the Attorney General's office in California.
What do you have to say about the church committee hearings? Do you feel that the church committee has revealed all the information that they've gathered?
No way. No way. No way.
What percentage would you say they've released of the material from a personal viewpoint?
Personal viewpoint, I'd say about 10%, if that. That's kind of stretching it, I believe.
When you went to Washington to testify, you took a lot of evidence with you.
Yes, I did.
Physical evidence.
Yes, I did.
They kept that evidence.
Yes, they did.
Where is it?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
It was never made public.
No, it wasn't.
Was it strong evidence?
It was very strong evidence. I mean, how strong can you get when you actually have the voice of the man speaking to you over the telephone, instructing you after you steal certain particular paperwork to burn that garage up? And he says his name. Yeah. I think that's very strong evidence.
What do you make of their reticence in releasing this information?
Well, let me put it to you like this. I think the whole thing was a farce. I think it was a setup. When I went up there, I was interviewed by some people from the Justice Department, which was cool. But then also they had 2 agents from the Bureau that interviewed me for an hour concerning the information that they damn sure knew about. I think church cooperated with the authorities to a great extent as far as holding back certain elements of things. The Bureau has a good way of dealing with senators and congressmen. When they try to release something on them, they say, hey, well, this file is still active, or this case is still actively going on, and if you release this pertinent information, then it will destroy the whole case. That kind of thing. So what is that called? There is a expression that they use for this. I'm trying to remember that expression. It's a little legal terminology in the interest of national security.
We've aired these interviews in the hope that we've provided information and food for thought. It's not our purpose to characterize Mr. Perry nor judge him. If you choose, however, to pass judgment on Darthard Perry, it might also be appropriate to question whether or not each of us bears some responsibility for having allowed things like this to occur and continue to this very day. You know you're going to go to prison, don't you, sooner or later? Or do you think you might get away?
I don't think I'm going to prison. I really don't think I'm going to prison.
Are you in fear of your life?
Not particularly.
How can that be?
It's like this.
I mean, all the characters that you've been running with, and now you're turning and talking about them, naming names. Somebody's got to get warm. This interview, full face on camera, there's a good chance it's going to be seen nationwide.
Well, I take it like this. I've played the game this long. I'll play the game out. I think I am.
What did that tranny Rihanna tell you in the hook to Umbrella? Y'all remember the song Rihanna made with Umbrella? Y'all remember the hook to the song? That motherfucker said they took an oath and I'ma stick it out to the end. Damn right. What else can you do? There ain't nowhere for him to go. There's nowhere for him to turn. The only thing he can do is ride it out. You know why? Because he'll never be accepted anywhere after this. He'll never be tolerated anywhere after this. His own family, I'm willing to bet money. His own family, and I'm talking about like siblings, cousins, brothers and shit. I bet any amount of money they don't have nothing to do with that man. Bet money. Now he dead now, but I'm just saying. I bet money on it. There ain't nowhere for him to turn. He's completely banished himself from society by doing this shit. Because the minute people find out who he is, they're not going to want to have nothing to do with him.
A little bit more going for me now than I had before. I think people are aware of the position that I was in and why I was in the position I was in. And I don't think the Bureau under any circumstances wants to put their hands on me. The fact is, I think they're going to be...
And you know what the fucked up part about it is? The Bureau, the FBI, should be the least of his concern. He should be more afraid and scared of his own fucking people than the FBI. But he's not. You know why? Because by this motherfucking time, by the time of this interview, the 70s had already passed. Because this interview was done in 1980 or 81 or something like that. The disco era was already in full swing. Motherfuckers was already getting high. And the crack era was just about to kick off. Because the crack era really started in like the mid 80s. The early to mid 80s is when crack took off. And so by that time, it's like niggas getting high. They not thinking about this motherfucker. Oh man, this could be depressing. Man.
Most of their time denying that they've ever known me. The fact is, when this stuff, when I first came out with it, that was one of the things. We've never talked to him before. We don't know him. You know. Then later on, it was a thing. Well, yes, we know him, but he never worked for us. Then the third thing that came out was, well, yes, he worked for us, but he didn't work for us at the times he said he worked for us. I think they're more.
And that's crazy as hell. They just hung the man out there to dry. He done burnt up this. He done burnt down this. He done stole here. He done broke into here. He done broke into there. He done witnessed the murder and all this shit. And behind all of that, they tried to pretend like they didn't know that man. That's, man. Oh my God. Our fucking people are so goddamn dumb. All of this over 3 years in prison for receiving stolen merchandise. You did all of this damage, man. Wow.
Worried about people becoming aware of what's happening more so than me.
In your career as an informer, you committed arson, you witnessed murder, you stole weapons and supplied them to certain groups under false pretenses. You procured information from people. That's an ugly mirror to hang up in front of your face, isn't it?
Definitely. But then also, if you're thinking about the part of them pressing charges against me behind those actions that I did, you have to also think in part that if they're going to press charges against me, then they have to press charges against them.
How much would you say you've...
So again, right? Because I know some people may be wondering, and they may have this question, well, why did they allow him to do this interview? Why would they allow him to put out any of the information that you all are listening to? Right? And it's like I've been telling y'all for a very long time when it come down to the so-called Black Masonic Order. They have to let you know what they've done, what they're doing, what they're gonna do in order to have clean hands. So they have to release this type of information. They have to. You have to give the people a chance. You have to. This is within their thing. You have to let them know what it is that you're doing, going to do, or have done to give them an opportunity to do something about it. If they choose to do nothing, then as far as they're concerned, in their minds, in their beliefs, they have clean hands. So this is why they allow these type of interviews to exist. Okay. Okay. So now this is going to be part 2 to this video. The informant that you are about to see now, name is William O'Neill. And essentially he did the same fucking shit that the Perry guy did, the one we was just watching. And it's going to be very similar. He's going to get hemmed up in some shit that he did, i.e., AKA a crime. And next thing you know, he's a fucking fed. As I said before, people want to call it Cointelpro. I call it black treason. I call it nigger treason. This is treason, man. At the highest level. You feed your own to the enemy. And the crazy part about it is, this is the part that people have to understand. They're not the enemy just because of like what jobs they hold or, because a motherfucker might be in government or whatever the case may be. They're the enemy because they literally killing people, man. They literally murdering people. It's like, well, goddamn, man, if you out here literally murdering people, I'm not supposed to consider you the enemy? I mean, goddamn, I'm not out here murdering people. Like, man. But this O'Neill motherfucker is the guy that got close to Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton got killed over there around the corner off Madison and Western on the west side. Right over there in that area now. Well, the Chicago Bulls Stadium has always been over there. That's down on Madison and like Oakley or some shit. The Blackhawks built their training facility because they used to practice in the same building as the Bulls. So I guess there used to be conflicts with schedules and all this other shit that, caused some sort of issue with practice or whatever, because the Blackhawks and the Bulls played during the same season. So the Blackhawks ended up building their own training facility down on like Madison and I want to say like, Fred Hampton in them office building was on the corner of Madison and Western. The Blackhawks training facility is west of Western Avenue on Madison. So I guess that would be like, I don't know, fucking Madison and Rockwell or some shit. Madison and Artesian or some street like that. Something like that. Because it's just west of Western Avenue on Madison, right? Fred Hampton's apartment was around the corner. It was in the same vicinity as Madison and Western. Okay, I could go to Google and like Google the address or whatever. I'm not finna do all that. But the crib that him and his old lady had that the fucking police aired out that bedroom and shit, with him and his old lady in the bed and all that, that crib was around the corner from Madison and Western where he lived. All right. Now the bitch nigga that made all of this happen, meaning him being assassinated and his old lady being shot up and shit, because they don't talk to you about that. They killed her ass too. They don't talk about that. But the person who was responsible for making that happen is the dude that they interviewing in this particular video. So pay close attention, man. I hope and pray to God you guys watch these videos, man. I really do. But if y'all don't, it's okay. But pay close attention to this.
Camera roll 3088, sound roll 341.
Phil, can you describe to me the circumstances under which you began working for the FBI? How old you were,
It was in probably 1967. I was with a guy one night, a friend of mine, and we were drinking beer, and we decided to go joyriding. And we jumped in a car and stole it. And we were driving around the city of Chicago for 45 minutes and decided to leave the state to go visit a relative in another state. And we had an accident out of state. And prior to the accident, we'd walked in a pool hall and was shooting pool. And at the door, you had to register your phone number and address. And we we wrote down our names and phone numbers, then went and shot a game of pool, and then came out and had an accident. And we fled the accident on foot. Messed around in the city a while, and then caught a bus back to Chicago. And about 3-4 months later, I got a call from this FBI agent by the name of Roy Mitchell. And he told me that he knew what I had done. And we went around a couple of times, and he said something like, well, you know, there's no need in you trying to bullshit me. I know you did it, but it's no big thing. He said, I'm sure we can work it out. And
See that shit? Here it is. You went off to wherever the fuck you went to after y'all stole his car. Y'all got into an accident, whatever it is you just said that was supposed to have happened. And to save your own fucking ass from going to prison, you go and commit treason against your own people in a fashion to where it will continue to harm us. The damage that these two motherfuckers did still harm us to this day. Right along with the other niggas that have joined forces with these motherfuckers to do exactly what they doing here. This shit is so damaging, man. It's like how I keep telling y'all, this shit is our fault. I keep trying to tell y'all, man, don't talk to me about no fucking Zionist, man. I don't want to hear it. Don't talk to me about no fucking fake Jew. And I do not want to hear this. Because them motherfuckers are just the enemy, right? If you want to look at it from that perspective, they just the enemy. But when you have motherfuckers like this guy on screen right here, and a couple of motherfuckers say, well, yeah, he the enemy too, Lone Wolf. And it's like, yeah, but this nigga committing treason. At least if you want to talk about Jews, fake Jews and Zionists and all, they're not committing treason against their people. I mean, against our people. Well, they ain't committing treason against, well, they probably are, because them ain't no honor among thieves. But they're not committing treason against us when they doing what they're doing. They're just at war with us. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference with being at war with another group of people and certain people from within that group selling out their own fucking people. That's different. That's not the same thing. So although you may view some of these white folks or Asians or whatever, or Latinos or whatever as the enemy or whatever the case may be, right? That's not treason. They're waging war. What this motherfucker you looking at on screen is doing, that's treason.
I think a few months passed before I heard from him again. And one day I got a call, and he told me that it was payback time. He said that I want you to go and see if you can join the Black Panther Party, and if you can, give me a call.
Can I just interrupt and have you start that part about joining the Panther Party? But tell me again how old you were and that it was not stupid, that it was the FBI agent?
I think I was about 18, 19 years old. And the FBI agent's name was Roy Mitchell. And
y'all didn't know Lil Durk was an agent? Y'all didn't know that? Y'all didn't know that Charleston White is an agent? Y'all didn't know that Charleston White was a provocateur for the FBI? Y'all know that? Y'all didn't know that Tariq Nasheed was an agent? Y'all didn't know Bill Cosby was an agent? They was all hemmed up in that shit. Any motherfucking actor or actress or whatever that's known around the world, they got that type of fame and notoriety, they agents, man. Period. Like, this shit is disgusting. But anyway, let's go. This motherfucker 19 years old and get wrangled up in this bull. I'm glad to be alive, man. I tell you.
He called me up on the phone and recanted the crime, pretty much. I tried to deny it, but he had the evidence, and he said basically it was no problem, that we could work it out, that I wasn't any serious problems that he couldn't deal with. And a few months, three months maybe passed before he asked me to join the Black Panther Party.
Now, what did Mitchell ask you to do?
Well, he didn't give me any specific instructions at that point. He just said,
Can you say instead of he?
Roy boy said, basically, just go and see if you can join the Black Panther Party.
And you know what? Excuse me. You guys know what solidifies me saying that this is treason? These motherfuckers infiltrate these groups and these organizations, and they were surrounded by wonderful people, man. Wonderful people who just wanted justice. Wonderful people that was just tired of oppression. Now, I'm not going to say some of them weren't, some of the people that might have been, in the chapter in Chicago. I ain't going to say some of them might not have been hustling or selling a little weed or something on the side or whatever. I'm not going to say that they were just 100% altar boys. You know what I'm saying? Because motherfuckers hustled back then. They did. Prostitution was a big thing back then. It was. It even took off further in the 70s, but at least here in Chicago. But for the most part, motherfuckers like this guy on screen, he infiltrated these groups and he discovered that there were a lot of great people, man, that really wasn't trying to really hurt nobody. They wasn't really trying to go to war with like cops and the FBI and all. They weren't trying to do that. They just was tired of being treated the way they were treated. And here it is, you are surrounded by people like this, man. And you fuck these people over like that. That's just wrong, man. I'm sorry. Car crash or no car crash. Stolen car, no stolen car. That's some bullshit. Period. You being 19 don't fucking matter. That's some bullshit. The only thing you could probably say is that at 19 years old, he probably didn't understand how detrimental it was going to be. And I could grant him that. Because this shit is still affecting us in 2025. And it's gotten worse. Look at all your Umar Johnsons you got. Look at all your motherfucking agent provocateurs that got YouTube channels and shit. They got TikTok channels, man.
And they're recruiting Panther members. So why don't you go down to the office and see if you can join. If you get in, give me a call back. So the next day, I got on the bus and went down to the office of the Black Panther Party. It was located on Western and Madison. And walked in the office, about 3 or 4 Panthers in the office. And I think I was about the 5th member in the Chicago chapter to join. They had this big office building and up on the 2nd floor, they had about 5 or 6 offices. And very little personnel to run things, so positions, it was easy to get a position. So they appointed me as a security captain. That was the first time I met Fred Hampton, and he was the chairman, the spokesman for the party, and Bobby Rush was the Minister of Defense. He was Huey P. Newton's.
Bobby Rush is an agent. Bobby Rush is the congressman. Been a congressman for a long motherfucking time. Do some research on Bobby Rush, man. Bobby Rush is an agent. He's an agent, man. Let me run that. I'm going to go back just a little bit.
To get a position, so they appointed me as a security captain. That was the first time I met Fred Hampton, and he was the chairman, the spokesman for the party, and Bobby Rush was the Minister of Defense. He was Huey P. Newton's deputy, which was a top man in the state of Illinois at that time.
What did you think about the Panthers at that time? What framework did you understand them in? What did you thought about the civil rights movement? How did they fit into your understanding of politics
I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood, and I had very little idea of I was apolitical. The Panthers.
He grew up in a middle-class neighborhood like back in the 60s, right? But yet you out here stealing cars and shit. That sounds like the Charleston White story. Then Charleston White, when it came down to him killing that motherfucker or whatever, they supposed to went inside of a mall or a store or whatever, and they stole some starter jackets, and they came out and the guy tried to stop them. And they ended up shooting the fucking guy that was trying to stop him. And Charleston White said that he could have just went home and asked his mother to buy him a starter jacket. And she would have bought it. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these? What the fuck, man? So you grew up in a middle-class neighborhood in the fucking 60s? And you out stealing? Anyway, continue.
I had heard of only from a recent article, I think, that had occurred in the paper. Huey P. Newton had just been in a shootout with the Oakland Police Department, and one of them had died. And there was a lot of press about that. But prior to the articles I had read about Huey P. Newton, I knew nothing of the Black Panther Party. In fact, the day I joined, I was pretty sure it was just another gang, not unlike the Black Stone Rangers or the Cobras or something. I had no idea of anything about their.
But then you got to also think about it like this too, right? Jeff Fort is allegedly the motherfucker that's supposed to started the Black Stone Rangers that led up to be the Black P Stone Rangers and all this other shit. Now the Cobras he talking about went on to become the Mickey Cobras, also known as the MCs. All right? Just a little Chicago gang history for y'all. Okay? And the Mickey Cobras the Cobras that turned into the Mickey Cobras. They were predominantly out west, but you can find some of them on the south side. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, the biggest gang on the south side was GDs and BDs after they split. After David Barksdale and Larry Hoover split off and Larry Hoover started the GDs, Barksdale went on to the Black Disciples and, you know, all that other shit. But at the end of the day, look at what Jeff Fort was on. When he's supposed to be getting federal grant money and shit from the government to open up a school, and then it turned out the fucking school was like a militia school or some shit where the motherfucker was teaching these niggas military tactics and he was supposed to be getting guns and bazookas and shit from Gaddafi. But anyway, that's a story for another day. Let's go.
Politics.
What did you begin to learn as you did join, and what kind of information were you able to give back to Mitchell?
Well, almost immediately after I joined the Panthers, probably within 10 days, I began to realize that the Black Panther Party was a little bit more sophisticated than a gang. The orientation process, the attention they gave to the political climate around the country had me going there for a while. And at one point, well...
And also, if you can look at me.
Yeah, okay. They had, I think the first set of reference books I saw inside the Black Panther Party was the selected works of Mao Zedong, which I had begun to associate with communism. And it wasn't too long thereafter that I started seeing books like the Manifesto, the Communist Manifesto of Karl Marx, and then the collected works of Lenin. And every night after the office would close.
And those books are flagged by the FBI, by the way, right now in 2025. Not just those books, but many others. Those books are flagged. Meaning, if you buy those books, if you download them like on ebook or something, or you out seeking out those books, not just the ones he named, but there are many others, automatically your information is fed into the FBI database. If you go to the library and try to check out one of those books, automatically your library card information is fed into the FBI database. That's how vicious these niggas is. Like, I gotta, you know what? This is to you, Mr. and Mrs. FBI, motherfucker. This is to you guys. This particular statement right here is to y'all. I gotta give y'all motherfuckers credit, man. Y'all some fucked up niggas. I gotta be honest, man. I will not. One thing I will, and I'm talking to you, Mr. and Mrs. FBI person. One thing I will never ever do is underestimate y'all power. That I won't do. I accept that you all have the power that you have. Now, I don't agree with you having it, but I accept that y'all have it. Y'all some vicious motherfuckers. Y'all are. I gotta give y'all credit, man. You motherfuckers y'all be on point, man. Y'all serious with y'all shit. You motherfuckers are some disgusting, conniving motherfuckers. But y'all be serious. Y'all are not bullshitting. And that's just going back to what I was saying about the video I made last night about how YouTube is coming in and, you know what I'm saying, want to use motherfuckers to have to use their ID to get on and all this. Like I told y'all in that video yesterday, stop playing with these people. And I say that same thing to the FBI, the CIA or whatever. I would never play with y'all, man. Ever. I would never play with y'all. I would never take y'all lightly. I would never flick y'all like a booger. Because I know y'all serious. And I know y'all don't fuck around. The thing of it is that I'm just not scared of y'all. Because I know what y'all doing is wrong. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't talking about like, just because like you're an agent or something, like you chose that profession. No, I don't mean that, man. That's like, you know what I'm saying, coming down on somebody because of the color of their skin or because they're a barber or, you know what I'm saying? So no, I'm not saying that because you chose that as a profession. I'm saying it because of how you all chose to conduct yourself within the profession, man. That's what I'm saying. It's no different than with like local law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with them. I'm not coming down on your ass, you know, because you chose to be a cop. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. I'm coming down on you for the way that you choose to conduct yourself within the fucking policy department. That's what it is that I'm coming down on. Like the shit you guys are doing is wrong. Period. It was wrong back in the 60s. And it's wrong today. And the crazy part is that the internet is giving so much exposure to this situation that they can't refute that they're wrong. The FBI can't refute it, man. The CIA and the Homeland Security, they can't refute they wrong for the shit they doing to people, man. You know what I'm saying? You motherfuckers come in people cribs, man. Kick their door down for whatever your bureaucratic ass reason is, which is bullshit, and you kill them. A lot of times they're unarmed. In many cases, they're not fighting back, and y'all blow them away and say, oh, well, this is what happened, and this is why we had to shoot him, and this is why, you know what I'm saying? And that shit is wrong. That's wrong, man. You're not supposed to do that shit. And y'all know y'all not supposed to do it. But because of your ideology and your training and your beliefs, you think that shit supersedes everything else. But it is what it is, man.
The Panthers would sit down and they would study these books. We'd go through political orientation. We would read certain paragraphs, and then Fred Hampton and Rush would explain to us, the new membership, basically what it meant and what was happening, and they drew parallels to what was going on in the past revolutions in the various countries, like, for instance, China or Russia, and it was drawing parallels to what was going on in the current political scene within the United States. So they were drawing associations between the revolutions in the communist countries, as I understood it, as to what was happening in the United States, and so I understood them to be a little bit more sophisticated than a gang. I expected that it would be weapons and we would be out there doing turf battles with the local gang members, but they weren't about that at all. They were into the political scene, the war in Vietnam, Richard Nixon, and specifically freeing Huey. And that was a thing.
Now you would, I assume, report this information back to Mitchell. Did he have a response? Did he react to this?
Well, initially, Agent Mitchell requested very little information from me. It was a one-way street for probably about 6 months. I think he was, in every meeting that I had with him, he listened more than he asked questions. The typical meeting would be, okay, what are they doing today? And then I would just tell him what was going on around the office in general conversation. He said, okay, and what are you doing? And then I'd tell him what I was doing, and then he'd make mental notes. Sometimes he took shorthand notes, and then we'd depart. He said, okay, just keep me informed. And so we had a very loose relationship at that point because the Panthers weren't too active militarily. Okay, they were politically organizing at that point. They were recruiting. At that point, the Panthers were trying to, they had speaking engagements at the different colleges and so forth. So we were in an organizing process. And there was very little criminal activity, as I could determine what was going on. Very little to report to the FBI, in my mind. because I felt like since the FBI was an investigative body investigating federal crimes, that crimes were what they were looking at. And so...
Tell me a little bit about how you felt about working for the FBI. What motivated you, and what ends you thought you were serving?
Well, in my community, the policemen it was the quickest way to gain respect. I think I grew up wanting to be a policeman, admiring and respecting policemen, although I always thought it was outside of my reach.
See, the brainwashing and shit, it go all the way back then. Did you hear what he just said? How in the fuck do you respect and admire a motherfucker that come into your neighborhood and lay their policy down on you and call it law? Do you see how fucked up the brainwashing is? Now, here's another thing. Peep this out. This was back at a time when motherfuckers was bitching and in an uproar because they wouldn't allow us to become cops. Think about that. They was racist. They didn't want us on the force. They didn't want us there. Here it is. We fought to become police officers all over the country, only to be able to do what it is that the white cops was doing. Now you think about that, man. You think about the hearts and minds of men and women are corrupt. There ain't no other way to say it.
My neighborhood was not unlike most people that grow up in Chicago. Most young people, we were very mischievous and did a lot of juvenile type, petty criminal type things. But stealing a car and all of a sudden having the FBI, having a case with the FBI that thought of really going to jail got my attention. And so when he asked me to join the Black Panther Party, and he used terms, he never used the word in.
Now, mind you guys, give you a little bit of history for the ones that are younger than 48. Stealing cars used to be petty. It used to be petty theft back in the day. That's what they considered it. Until people started using stolen cars and crimes and shooting at motherfuckers and crashing and shit, fucking people up, running people over and shit. That's when they escalated it. That and when cars started to become more expensive. Because back in those days, back in the 60s, you could buy a brand new Chevy Impala for like $3,500. I'm talking about brand new with the factory sticker still on that motherfucker. Oh my God, let me stop. Shut up, boy. Be quiet.
Foreman, he always said, "You're working for me." And I associated him as the FBI. So all of a sudden, I was working for the FBI, which in my mind at that point, I associated with being an FBI agent. So I felt good about it. I felt like I was working undercover for the FBI, doing something good for the finest police organization in America. And so
I said for the finest police organization in America, and it was started and created allegedly by who? None other than J. Edgar Hoover. Do you know how many niggas there are walking around out here right now that had this exact same fucking attitude as him? I think we deserve to hear that one more time. Let me rewind that shit.
The FBI, which in my mind at that point, I associated with being an FBI agent. So I felt good about it. I felt like I was associated him as the FBI. So got my attention. And so when he asked me to join the Black Panther Party, and he used terms, he never used the word informant. He always said, "You're working for me." And I associated him as the FBI. So all of a sudden, I was working for the FBI, which in my mind at that point, I associated with being an FBI agent. So I felt good about it. I felt like I was working undercover for the FBI, doing something good for the finest police organization in America. And so
do you guys not hear that? Do you not? Oh my God, you have got to be fucking kidding. I'm trying to get a nigga a little credit because I understand he was allegedly 19 at the time. So I'm trying to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But it's like, man, damn. By the time I was 19 years old, I had so many fucked up ass experiences with cops, man, that is nowhere in hell you could have told me that I would be proud to be dealing with the FBI. You know how many times I had my ass whooped and jumped on and shit by the fucking cops by the time I was 19? You know how many times I had been arrested and locked up for shit I didn't do by the time I was 19? Anyway.
I was pretty proud.
Yeah, great. Okay.
I had already got shot by the time I was 19. By 2 years. Yeah, because matter of fact, I got an anniversary coming up. I got an anniversary coming up this month, August. The middle of this month will be, 25 years. No, wait. Damn, let me see, I was 17. God damn, 31 years. Holy shit, boy, your ass is old. God damn, I said 25 years. This coming August will be 31 years that I got shot. The fuck? It's like, wow, really, dude? Oh, I by the time I was 19, I thought that being an FBI agent was the best thing in the world. Well, I guess all of that secret shit about J. Edgar Hoover hadn't came out at that time. But anyway, continue.
3089. Camera roll number 3089.
Did you ever think, or did Mitchell ever try to convince you that the Black Panthers were a threat to national security? How do you understand what the FBI's interest was in Washington?
Well, I think Mitchell, the relationship between I and Mitchell concentrated on the local activities. We talked very little about what was going on nationally early on in the game. Later on, when Bobby Seale and the guys would come to town, it took on a national scope. But right then and there, we were concentrated on the local chapter. And later on, I understood that his thinking in that regard, he wanted me to build up some credibility within the Black Panther Party. So he gave me a lot of room, a lot of leash at that point. He let me become a Panther before I became an FBI informant. I mean, I didn't go right in, rifling draws. He directed me into the Panthers, and then when I got there, he backed off, and he let them work on me a while. And slowly it worked. I became a Black Panther in a way. I forgot the scope of me being there. In fact, I didn't really know why I was there. I just knew I was to report, but I really didn't have anything to report early on in the game, so I concentrated mainly on Panther duties.
He didn't have nothing to report because these people wasn't doing anything illegal. See the treason? See the treason? I don't give a fuck that he's 19. This is treason. Ignorance of it is no excuse. He had nothing to report because there wasn't nothing to report. You can't report something that ain't there, that didn't happen. These people are not out here making plans to try to overthrow the government. They're not coming out here. They're not making plans and like, oh yeah, we're going to have a war with the Chicago Police Department and all these different things. This is not what they were doing. They weren't doing that. This is the reason for, I like how y'all heard me say, man, I've made videos in the past that I entitled A Message to the FBI or A Message to CIA or whatever. Because as I've expressed to you all before, I know they listening. I know they watching. I know that. But I also reach out to them to let them know, hey man, I respect human life. You know what I'm saying? And the people that make up the FBI and the CIA and all that, these are men and women. I respect human life. So for me to just want to lash out and just go to war and, you know, do some old crazy shit, that's just not me. Because at the end of the day, those FBI agents or CIA or whatever, these are still men and women. That means there's still human life behind that because they're men and women. So I'm not trying to take anybody's life. Do you understand? I'm not trying to harm anybody. I'm not trying to overthrow nothing. I just want people to leave me the fuck alone. That's where the hostility come from. Because you have people like me that say, well, damn, man, here it is. I want just that one thing and you study fucking with me. Then that's when the self-preservation kick in. You see what I'm saying? That's when the self-preservation kick in. That's when they go from, no, man, I'm not angry and shit because you're a CIA person or an FBI person. I'm angry because you harming me. You hurting me, man. I ain't did nothing to you. I haven't done anything to the public. You know what I'm saying? I haven't done anything. And you harming me. So essentially what happens with an overwhelming majority of us, or overwhelming number of us, our self-preservation kick in. And self-preservation within that gives you the right to defend. That's why they always try to make it seem like you were the aggressor. Because they know under human nature, people, animals, insects, birds, anything will defend themselves. And they know that men and women have that right too. This is the reason for why I start off by saying, well, I mean, I acknowledge the FBI is made up of men and women. That's why I go into that. Because that's human life. Now, these are just people that decided to be an FBI agent for one reason or another, and that's not my point. The reasoning behind being it is not my point. The point I'm trying to drive home is that number two, a couple of things. I acknowledge that they are men and women, whether they local cops, FBI, whatever. These are men and women. And with that comes human life. They have a life too, just like you have one. Then you take your life and your job and your career and your beliefs and your ideology, and you think that shit supersedes everybody else when it don't. So then essentially now what you are is a ruling class. You're not really like the FBI anymore or the CIA anymore. You're just a ruling class of fucking thugs. And then that's when it becomes a problem. Because if you harming people and trying to force people to bow down and do things against their wishes for something they haven't done anything wrong about, then that means you're a ruling class. So you'll have situations where you'll see, regardless of skin color, ethnicity, or whatever, their self-preservation kicks in. And within self-preservation, you have a right to defend yourself. But anyway, continue.
The life of a panther.
Tell me about that. How did you, what was the work that you did, and how did you rise up through the ranks of the party?
Well, mainly from day one, we had very little personnel, a lot of spots to fill. There were a lot of activity, a lot of things to do. And so naming positions at that point and filling those positions were really the leadership's responsibility at that point. And because of my knowledge of electronics and, I was just a handyman basically around the office, and we had this office building that they felt like wasn't too secure. I started working right away to secure the building, and in that regard, I fell right into the security position. And it got more sophisticated as donations started to flow. As the membership increased as a result of speaking engagements on the school campuses and so forth, my responsibilities doubled, and so I was given a staff of security people, and then I just advanced from that point on.
What were the major developments during that year of the Panther Party as you saw it? Was it the programs? Was it the alliances that the party was building? What was the Panther agenda as you came to understand it?
To free Huey. Basically was the agenda of the Black Panther Party all along. Let it be no mistake, Huey P. Newton was locked down. The Black Panther Party was Huey P. Newton, and Huey P. Newton was the Black Panther Party. And no matter how powerful or strong our membership got in the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, no matter how many speaking engagements Hampton had, or how many donations we had, or how many papers, there was always a national office out there to remind us that we were subservient to the national office, that we were just a chapter and we weren't the Illinois Black Panther Party, that we was the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party. And their goals at that point was to free their leader, who was locked down in Alameda County Jail, facing the death penalty for killing a police officer. the party recognized that.
And they was good for that back in those days. You could get the death penalty for killing a cop. It was no sweat for them to give you the death penalty for that. And they was going out there beating motherfuckers to death with oak sticks, known as billy clubs, because that's the wood that they was using to make those fucking billy clubs. Those billy clubs were made out of oak. Them motherfuckers come out in our neighborhood and split our shit wide open and let us leak out and die right there on the sidewalk. They rarely ever got charged, convicted, or sentenced, let alone sentenced to motherfucking execution for killing us. But it was well known for them to give a motherfucker the death penalty for killing a cop, especially back in those days.
At that point, that they needed liaisons, they needed alliances with various groups in order to survive, basically in the climate in Chicago. So they embraced the various political issues that was of the day. They got involved in all types of causes, mainly to fortify their position and to free their leader, Huey P. Newton. And he was effectively running the Black Panther Party from inside of the jails. Most of our political direction was mandated, came out through his lawyers, and was passed on nationally through the chapters. It was Huey Speaks.
Yes.
Now, also too, just to remind you all of some history. This is 1968 is when they started passing the most egregious gun laws. 1968 started it. Now, please hear me out. They already had gun laws on the books before 1968. You know what I'm saying? But when 1968 came, you got to remember they signed the Indian Civil Rights Act of 1968, April the 11th, 1968. Martin Luther King was killed April the 4th. In October of that same year, they passed the Firearms Safety Act of 1968, or whatever the fuck that piece of legislation is that is called on the books. That started the most egregious. Because they start banning machine guns, they start banning all kind of shit. You got to understand something. Our people have always been armed to the teeth. Always. Now, we unfortunately ain't always used those weapons on each other in the manner that we do today. But we have always been armed to the teeth. Always. I mean, it's our fucking land. How the hell could we not be armed? But what you see today with all of our brothers and some of our sisters too, because some of our sisters, they pop your ass too. You know what I'm saying? We've always been like that. Always. I've been telling people for the fucking longest, that gun legislation that they passed in October 1968, that was for us. And white folks and all the other motherfuckers that got affected by it, they were collateral damage. Know that shit and understand it.
Stop it down. Mark it, please.
Okay. You tell me about how things changed as the
Well, I said from February 1969, the activities within the party was high speed. We were in our bloom. We had about 500 members. We were selling probably about 25,000 newspapers in the city of Chicago every week, of the Panther newspaper, that is. We had various members of our party, of the Black Panther Party, going to the colleges all over the state, speaking engagements.
If I'm not mistaken, the Black Panthers had something to do with the Chicago local newspaper called the Chicago Defender. I might have to go back and do a little bit of research on that, but if I'm not mistaken, the Illinois chapter had something to do with that very popular newspaper that was circulating in Chicago and the Chicagoland area as well. These people did a lot, man. They did a lot that the motherfuckers are just now finding out about. They did a lot. They weren't just some fucked up people, man, that just was out here, you know, like he was saying. I thought they were just going to be like another gang and shit, like out in the street having turf wars and shit. And he's like, nah, they was far away from that. They weren't on that kind of bullshit, man. But anyway.
Probably about 25,000 newspapers in the city of Chicago every week, of the Panther newspaper, that is. We had various members of our party, of the Black Panther Party, going to the colleges all over the state, speaking engagements. Donations were coming in to the tune of about $1,500, $2,000 a day. But at the same time, the Chicago police had stepped up their activities also. A lot of our a lot of the members were being arrested on petty charges. So the money we were bringing in on the one hand in donations, money that came through the mail anonymously, blank checks and money orders, was going right out in bail money. So it was intense. And in that regard, the Black Panther Party was everywhere and doing everything. We had 500 members and everybody was aggressive. And it was hard for me to report on all of the activities that were occurring. I could only concentrate on what my little group was doing. I was, as security captain, I was in what was called the defense cadre. It was technically under Bobby Rush's command because he was the Deputy Minister of Defense, and then during that year we considered we were in a state of war. Our leader was locked down. The police was attacking offices all over the country. They was trying to break us financially through bail. And so the Minister of Defense takes over in a situation like that. Fred Hampton was in charge mainly with speaking engagements, public relations, reaching the people, recruiting, and things of that nature. He was the chief spokesman. He was the one that the cameras saw all the time. But Bobby Rush and our group was the operations. We were activities at that point. It was our job to defend the offices against the police, to get members out of jail, to discipline the members, to kind of, maintain the police control of the organization, to deal with informants and so forth.
Now, as the party was growing, though, what was Mitchell starting to ask you about, or how was your relationship with Mitchell changing?
Well, Mitchell was part of a squad, in my opinion, of about 5 or 10 agents, and each one of them had their little activities within the Black Panther Party. Mitchell's questions were defined mainly to my area. He never asked me how many newspapers that someone else was selling, or who got the catalogs for the Breakfast of Children program, or who's going to open up the medical center. He wasn't concerned with that. He was concerned with my activities in the Panthers, which at that point was exclusively security issues. We were buying weapons at that point. We didn't have any type of working relationship with the largest street gang at that time, which was the Black Stone Rangers. They had about 2,000 members and were well armed. And at some point, a meeting was arranged. We met with Jeff Fort of the Black Stone Rangers, and at that meeting, we were in a Catholic church. I remember that night we were setting up, and Jeff Fort told Fred.
Now listen to this, y'all. Keep this in mind. They were all Masonic brothers. We talked about this in videos I made in the past. They were all Masonic brothers. Larry Hoover, David Barksdale, I think Chief Malik, Larry Hoover, Willie Lord, who else? A couple other motherfuckers, man. Because they had the El Rukins back then. The El Rukins was the Moorish gang. For anybody who don't know, they didn't last too long. I reckon that some of them are still around today here in Chicago, but the El Rukins didn't last too long. Those were the Moors. We used to fight them. Gang banging. Yeah. I used to sleep with the one of the leader of the El Rukins. I used to sleep with his daughter. I'm not going to mention her name because her father was a well-known motherfucker, so I'm not going to put her name out there. But this was years ago, too. This was, I was 23, 24. I think I had just broke up with my youngest son's mother. I'm sorry, my oldest son's mother. But this was a long time ago. Like I said, I'm not going to put her name out there because her father was a well-known person that did a lot of dirt. So I'm not finna, do that. But yeah, we used to fight them motherfuckers, man. Straight up. And the crazy part about it is that not all of the motherfuckers that was in that gang were Moors. Some of them were actually our people. But this was them trying to blend into our communities back then. But just needless to say, I'm getting off topic a little bit. Just keep in mind, Jeff Fort, Larry Hoover, David Barksdale, Willie Lord, Chief Malik. I'm trying to think of who the motherfucker was that started the Black Gangsters and shit. Even though the Black Gangsters didn't come until later. But all of the motherfuckers, man, they used to be motherfucking Masonic brothers, man. They used to meet up at the same lodge. They used to have a fucking Masonic lodge over in Inglewood, right? And keep in mind, I'm talking about the neighborhood Inglewood. You know what I'm saying? Chicago is set up like New York, where, you know, they may talk about the Bronx or Brooklyn and this, that, and the other, but it's still New York City. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. There's just a community or a borough, if you will, right? They used to have a Mason's Lodge off like, I don't know, like 63rd and Halsted or something, where they used to all meet up at. When I say all of them, I'm talking about all of them. While motherfuckers was in the streets killing each other over some gang banging shit, the leaders of all those gangs was meeting at the Freemason Lodge. They were brothers. Oh man, how do I drive this point home to people, man? How do I drive the point home that it's us? It's always been us. All this time.
Hampton, there is not going to be any Black Panthers in the city of Chicago. You guys either join the Blackstone Rangers or get out of the city. And Hampton came away from that meeting feeling like we were going to eventually have to do battle with these guys. There was no compromise. They couldn't associate, the Blackstone Rangers couldn't associate our purpose politically with their gang turf thing. So we were going to have to deal with them. So the word went out to me to basically start buying weapons. We also knew that the state's attorney had declared war on us, and pretty soon we were going to...
Keep in mind, Jeff Ford is connected. Did you hear what he just said? Fred Hampton had a meeting with this motherfucker, and he told him, yeah, we know that y'all niggas ain't on what we on and this, that, and the other, but this is our turf, nigga. You can't be out here. You either rock with us or you don't rock at all. I mean, how in the fuck has it not always been us? How? And you know what? Here's something else too I want y'all to understand. I believe that. I actually believe that shit. I believe it. Because we always got to have adversaries. We always got to have an enemy, man. Anytime we attempt to do something good, an enemy come out of fucking nowhere, right? Now, don't misunderstand me. Back at this time when he talking about with Fred Hampton and all this other shit, the Black Panthers, I mean, not the Black Panthers, the Black Stone Rangers, they were already in effect. You know what I'm saying? They was already doing their thing. Here it is, Fred Hampton come along. They started the chapter of the Black Panthers in Chicago and this, that, and the other. Their organization is 1,000% the complete fucking opposite of the Blackstone Rangers. 1,000 fucking percent opposite. They ain't out there on turf wars. They not selling drugs. They not pimping women. None of that shit. And you tell these motherfuckers they got to get the fuck out of Dodge? Wow. But anyway, let's go.
Face of...
Because I know it's you niggas. I know it's you niggas. Straight up, I know it's y'all. I know it's always been y'all.
Raid at one of our offices. And the mentality at that time was that we know it's coming. Our job is to set an example for the people. We must be ready. And so we started fortifying the offices and buying guns and training our soldiers, the security people.
I want to talk now about the events. Oh, all right. Let's just stop then.
Stop?
I mean, yes.
Stop now? Yes.
But if you
Follow
could,
the speed.
instead of the whole story about...
You want to know, right now you're focused on
Just
why I went to
first deal.
the
First deal.
first connection. Okay.
Yeah, you'd stolen the car, and he called you back and told you
Okay.
he could get you off the hook if...
Okay.
Target.
Well, he didn't say that, but okay. Well, am I ready now?
Yeah.
Well, simply, I stole a car and took it across the state line. The FBI had a case on me. They could either prosecute me and put me in jail or decline to prosecute because I assisted them in one of their investigations. I think I understood that. So the day he called and asked me to join the Black Panther Party, I understood what my role was to be. And that's what I did. Is it good enough?
Yeah, except you didn't say Mitchell. Can you try it one more time?
Mitchell, okay.
Brief like that.
Okay, it's simple. I stole a car and went across the state line, which violated federal law. Mitchell, agent from the FBI, had a case on me. He had a choice of either prosecuting me and sending me to jail or declining to prosecute. as a result of me aiding him in another case, and I decided to take the latter. When he asked me to join the Black Panther Party, I did so, and I understood what my role was to be.
We didn't quite catch it, I think, but I mean,
That's a
we
roll.
can do it again.
Well, we can do it again.
Tell me about a typical meeting, and tell me again, Mitchell's an FBI agent. 'Cause
Well, a typical meeting between my FBI contact, Mitchell, would be downtown Chicago at 12 noon, down in the basement of at some bar, some dark bar, and I would meet him at the bar. He'd be there when I got in there, and he'd have a drink, and I'd have a drink, and we'd sit there and talk for 15 or 20 minutes, and it was very casual. I mean, it was like I'd come in, and he said, "Oh, what you up to?" And then I'd say, "Well, I'm going down to Champaign on a speaking engagement with Fred, and I'm taking such and such with me, and we're carrying guns, and we're driving this car." And I just rattle it off. 10 or 15 minutes, I'd tell him everything I knew. He didn't have to say very much, because when I joined the Black Panther Party, most of the information that I was giving him at that time was new information to him. So as I grew inside of the party and began to learn things, he grew also. So he knew the members better than I did. We talk about the girlfriends and who was, pregnant and who had a venereal disease, and this was just casual conversation between he and I.
That is fucked up, man. Wow.
And always writing. What he put in his files, I still don't have the benefit of, but I know after a while he and I became friends, and we talked in casual conversation about what I was doing in the Black Panther Party. Well, the whole nature of that relationship changed right around maybe November 13, when 2 police officers were killed by a Black Panther member named Jake Winters on the south side of Chicago. That night, as I understand the gun battle, Jake Winters straddled one of the officers who were wounded in the shootout and performed a coup de grace, a mercy killing. He straddled the officer after the officer was down and put a shotgun to his head and put him out of his misery, or at least that's the way the newspaper described it. And I think the whole city, I think the Black Panthers took the rap for that one when they really didn't deserve it, because Jake Winters was out there on his own. He wasn't out there on any official mission for the Black Panther Party. He was out there on his own, and he got into a altercation with a guy, and the guy called the police, and the police came, and the shootout broke out, and 2 police officers were killed, and Jake Winters were killed. Well, the Panthers took the heat because Jake Winters was a Black Panther. And past that point, I noticed maybe a couple of days after this officer was killed, Mitchell had this grim, solemn atmosphere about himself, and I could tell he was looking for he wanted specific criminal violations. He wanted something that he could move on, and I think he may have implied or even expressed that at 1 or 2 points. He expressed his anger over what had happened, the total disregard for life, and that was the first time I ever saw him express a personal opinion about what he thought the Black Panthers were doing.
I want to get you focused now. It's November 1969. Can you describe to me the kind of information you were giving Mitchell about what was going on?
Well,
here it is. It's November 1969. All these motherfuckers is dead. Kennedy, Medgar Evers, Malcolm, Martin, they all dead. And here it is. They still on this shit. They still at it, man. Like, man, you can't make this shit up.
Mitchell became more specific during that time. He wanted to know the locations of weapons caches. He wanted to know if we had explosives. He needed to know who was staying at what locations, who spent the night where. his information didn't change so much as he requested more detail. And I knew why. The shootout on the South Side had pretty much laid the foundation within the party, within the Black Panthers. We knew that the police would react some type of way. We could just feel the stepped up surveillance. We could feel the pressure all the way around, and we knew something bad was going to happen. And I think we were all prepared for it. During that time, Fred was conducting quite a few speaking engagements, but even his attitude had changed somewhat within the Black Panther Party. He was becoming more reluctant to speaking engagements, to making those outward appearances. He became more reserved, more protective of himself. He very seldom traveled anywhere by himself, and he began taking 5 and 6 bodyguards with him. And so he felt it also. Also, he felt like he was going to prison. He was pretty sure that the robbery conviction was going to take him out of the game. So he started preparing other members to take his role, pretty much.
There's a floor plan of the apartment on Monroe Street. And there are FBI memos that I've seen. I don't have your name on it, but the implication has always been that some of the information came from you on reports about weapons being at Monroe Street or not. Did you give that information to Mitchell? And if so, did you respond to it?
Well, I routinely supplied whatever floor plans or diagrams I could to the FBI. That started in June 1969. I mean, they had a floor plan and keys to the Black Panther headquarters. The specific apartment on Monroe, I supplied that floor plan. Perhaps not.
Okay, so it was on Monroe. Okay, which is around the corner from off Madison and Western. He gave them the keys to the motherfucking crib where they killed that man at. That's fucked up, man. I'm so tired, man. Man, listen to me. If you don't want to sit down and have this type of conversation and at least have a conversation about brainstorming how to combat this kind of shit, don't ever talk to me about a fake Jew again. If you don't want to sit down and have a conversation about how do we avoid this kind of shit, don't ever talk to me about a Zionist, a fucking Latino, or Asian, or nothing else, man. This is some fucked up shit. Period. There's no other way to say it. There's no other way to look at it. I don't care who don't like my profanity. Fuck you. This is wrong, man. This is wrong.
One you saw, but I do remember meeting with Mitchell at one point and drawing up a diagram of the apartment. The one I've seen in court, that was a little bit more fine-tuned than the one that I, drew.
Describe to me the meeting where you remember giving information to Mitchell.
Well, the meeting was not unlike the other meetings we'd had. It was always at the same location, was always during the daytime, and it was routine. Here again, in my mind, I knew that a raid was being planned. In my mind, I knew it. I knew also from the type of information that it would be probably a top raid, meaning the leader, from one of the leader's apartments. I also knew that the most vulnerable spot was Hampton's house, because it was the one that had all the weapons in it. It was the one with the weapons. Very few of the other apartments had the kind of weapons he had at that apartment. So when he asked me for the diagram, it didn't surprise me. I knew the raid was going to be planned. I felt like at that point, what they wanted to do was catch him with weapons and seal his conviction. If he'd have been caught with the weapons out on appeal, he would have went straight to jail. And I can't recall it being expressed. I can't recall any specific conversations I've had with Mitchell about the raid, but we had such a unity of mind, so to speak. Our efforts were basically one. I understood what was going on. He didn't have to tell me. He described to me going to the funeral of 2 police officers that got killed, and I knew he was hurt by that, and I knew he was going to do what he could to help the police department do something about it.
The night of December, I'm sorry, will you stop for a second?
Yes, lockdown.
How were you paid and how much were you paid?
Generally, I was paid in cash, and normal amounts would have ranged from $300 to $500, depending on my needs. If I requested a specific amount, I knew that I could get it. But the payments were very infrequent. I mean, Agent Mitchell determined early on in the game that spending money was the quickest way to blow your cover. Also, I was living in the Panther environment. I was living in a Panther house, which they called a crib. I was eating with them and sleeping with them, and I was with them 24 hours a day. So I had very little need for money. So I was always assured that my money was being held in trust, and that I could draw from it, draw down on it anytime I got ready, or anytime I had a legitimate need that wouldn't compromise my security. I suppose at any point, if I needed $1,000 or $2,000 from the FBI, I couldn't have gotten it.
How often did you meet with Mitchell?
Depending on my travel schedule, and later on within the Black Panther Party, I was traveling around a lot as a bodyguard to Hampton and so forth, and everywhere he went, I went. So the meetings became infrequent as the activities picked up. Normally once a week. In the fall of 1969, it had gotten down to about once a week. And past that point, it was just telephonic contact.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a rollout?
Yes.
Marky?
Talk me through the events of the evening of December the 3rd, what you did, where you were.
December 3rd. It was cold that day. It was really a slow day. We were at the office. Hampton was there. Rush was there. The general staff was there. It wasn't too much activity going on streetwise because the weather was so cold.
If Bobby Rush ain't an agent, how the fuck did Bobby Rush go on to be the congressman after this? Can somebody fucking riddle me that? Like, wow, man.
Melancholy kind of day. It just came and went. Got down to the evening. We all decided to walk the block from the office to Hampton's house and eat dinner. The women were cooking dinner, a big dinner, I think we had chili and big pot of spaghetti, and most of us that had labored at the office were looking forward to just going over there and eating dinner and reading and just being together. It was just a slow day. It was the last day it was the last type of day where we'd think that anything was going to happen. It was just too quiet. Nothing was happening. Totally off guard.
There are conflicting autopsy reports that Fred Hampton may or may not have been drugged. There are stories about whether or not you brought Fred Hampton food or drink. Do you have any information about whether he was drugged?
Fred Hampton drugged. I've never known Fred. I knew him for about 16 months. I've been with him in a lot of different situations. We've been in hotels together. We've been out, he and I alone in the car. I've never known Fred to take drugs. And to take it a step further, Fred would not tolerate anyone even smoking marijuana around him. And I don't think any of us in the hierarchy of the Black Panther Party would dare get drunk or drink. So alcohols and drugs were a no-no. As far as the rumors that he was drugged that night, unless he was on some type of medication, I think it was just rhetoric. I think it was fabricated. As far as the insinuation.
And there go to show you how they've been using those tactics for so long. Oh, now he was a drug addict. Now he was this. Now he was that. Like, man, it never changes. Only the players.
And that myself or someone else in the house would have drugged Fred Hampton. I don't buy it. There was just no way. Fred was the type of person that you didn't have to drug anyway. Fred was always tired. He could get in a car and we couldn't ride 2 blocks without him dozing off. I mean, he was a high energy person that ran on very little fuel, and wherever he sat down, he was well rested. I've never believed that. I mean,
In the days prior to December 3rd, had you given Mitchell specific information about weapons that were at the Florida Street Park?
well, I can recall we had a couple of conversations, but where I told him basically what was in various apartments, and the apartment on Monroe was not unlike the office and so forth. He had a running knowledge pretty much of where the weapons were, what weapons were there, and so forth. I can recall probably around the second or third verifying that certain weapons were steel as previously reported. Yeah, I can recall having a conversation or two about weapons.
How did you learn about the police raid on the Monroe Street apartment?
Well, the following day, I went directly to the office, and the office was empty, unusually empty. It was one girl sitting behind the desk, and she was on the phone, and there was just no people there. And I walked in, I guess it was about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I walked in, and I was waiting on her to get off the phone to ask, what was up. And I saw a copy of Sun-Times laying there, and had his picture on there, and had Panther leader slain on it. And boy, I felt bad. I felt just so. And I remember walking out of the office and looking through a little clearing over on the next block, which was right in front of the Monroe Street address, and seeing a lot of police cars over there. And at that time, Bobby Rush came to the office. He had just come from over there, or maybe the coroner's office. In any case, we walked back over there, and
Now, the Cook County Coroner's office is not that far from there. It's in walking distance. The coroner's office for the whole city is you know how every hospital has their own morgue, but then they come around, they pick up the bodies and take it to a centralized location. That's what he's talking about, and that's right around the corner. That's literally up the street from there. You could walk. On a nice summer day, you could walk from Fred Hampton's apartment, Fred Hampton's office, or anywhere in that vicinity. You could walk from there to the coroner's office. Hell, you could walk from there to the Bull Stadium. You know what I'm saying? But anyway.
We both were speechless. We just walked through the house and saw what had taken place and where he died, and it was shocking. That was what. Well, that was. I think it was that morning that I began to feel that I felt really. Everything that I had done flashed before me. I began to put it all together, pretty much, and
yeah, they used you. They used you like a pawn, and you fell for it.
I couldn't believe it. It was just shocking, and that he had died.
What did you begin to put together?
The information, the information leading up to the raid, the attitudes, and the whole thing.
Now keep this in mind. I understand he's young, but he also dumb, because by the time this happened, all the rest of them niggas was dead. Malcolm was dead. Martin was dead. These was all part of different groups. Martin Luther King wasn't with the Black Panthers. Neither was Malcolm. These are all different groups, man. Here it is, by the time he pulled this shit, all the rest of them dudes was already dead. or allegedly. Allegedly. Now, you know, we done heard stories about John Kennedy and Martin Luther King, but I'm not trying to go there with that in this video. But allegedly, they were supposed to already been dead. And you didn't think for 1 second that they would kill this dude? Man.
Just felt it in the wind. You knew something bad was gonna happen. I felt like it would be a raid. I knew it would be a raid. I mean, 2 police officers had got killed. I knew it would be a raid, but I didn't feel like...
It would be a raid. Cops kill people for less. Way less. And they was doing that back in the 60s. You can get killed for a cop for next to nothing back in the 60s. And unlike today, the message to my younger people, unlike today, and even in my generation coming up, because I was born anywhere between 8 to 10 years after all of this shit happened. I was born in 1977. And even in my day coming up, we didn't have cameras and shit. You get killed for next to nothing. Let alone you conducting vengeance because 2 of your own were killed, i.e. policy officers. You feel me? Man, this shit is just fucked up and bizarre on so many levels.
Anyone would get killed, especially not Fred. You know? So, yeah, I was shocked. I felt a little...
remorse about what you'd done?
I didn't feel like I had done anything. I didn't walk in there with guns. I didn't shoot him. The FBI didn't do it. I felt somewhat like I was betrayed. I felt like if anyone should have known it was going to be a raid that morning, I should have known also. I felt like I could have been caught in that raid.
They said, listen to me. Hear me out, guys. Listen. The cops, the Chicago Policy Department are the ones who pulled the trigger in coordination and conjunction with the FBI. They do it all the time. The FBI, the Mitchell dude that he kept talking about that he was meeting, the FBI agent, that guy knew that the cops were going to do that. They helped coordinate it. How in the fuck do you think they was able to come in there and do it? Didn't this guy just tell you on screen that he gave the Mitchell guy the floor plans for the office that they had and the floor plans for Fred Hampton's apartment? Didn't he tell y'all that? How in the fuck do you think the fucking cops was able to pull it off? Because the FBI gave him that information. Didn't tell him nothing about it. Made sure he was out of the way. Because like how he said, he could have been there. That could have went down in this fashion to where he was there when the cops came. Made sure he was out of the way. And they went in there and killed that motherfucking man. But...
there that night, and I felt like if I had laid down, I probably would have been a victim. So I felt betrayed. I felt like I was expendable. I felt like perhaps...
No, motherfucker, it was at that moment you realized everything you believed and thought about law enforcement, the police department, and the FBI was a farce. It's amazing you didn't take your own life. That kind of shit normally drive a motherfucker to commit suicide. They played your motherfucking ass, homie. That's literally what they did. They played that nigga like a banjo. I hate banjos. They played that nigga like a ukulele. I can't stand ukuleles. I love strings, but I hate banjos and I hate ukuleles. I'll even fuck with a harp. They played your ass like a fiddle, dummy. That's exactly what they did to you. That's exactly what they did to him.
I was on the wrong side. Yeah, I had my misgivings. I'm not gonna sit here now and take the responsibility for the raid. I'm not gonna do that. I didn't pull the trigger. I didn't.
You see that bullshit? Do you see that cognitive dissonance? You gave the FBI every fucking piece of information that they needed. The FBI got with the cops. They said, look, man, you niggas gonna have to be the ones that perform this one. Right? Now, because these 2 cops allegedly was killed by Black Panther, right, which I believe that was orchestrated too, to get it started, to have a reason to go in there and do what they did. I believe that was a setup. Now you got these motherfuckers salty as hell because a couple of their own was killed. And the FBI like, well, we already been watching these niggas. We already, we got the goods on them. Hey, fuck it. Go ahead, man. Here go the floor plans. These are the firearms and shit that motherfucker got in his apartment. Here's where he live, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Go ahead and motherfucking split his wig. And that's exactly what Chicago police did. They went in there and aired that motherfucker out. But anyway.
The warrant.
But yet somehow you had nothing to do with this. You're not responsible for this. You had nothing to do with this. I'm not responsible for this. I'm not responsible for the raid. How come you're not? The shit he just said right there, that's how he was able to sleep at night. By lying to himself to say, I'm not responsible. Motherfucker, you are responsible. Wow.
The guns in the apartment. So I'm not going to take responsibility for that. But I do feel like I was betrayed. I felt like I should have known the raid was coming down. I felt like it was probably excessive. Yeah, I felt like it was a surgical strike. And I was real angry for quite a few days. Quite a few days.
He said quite a few days, not years, days. Wow, what kind of fucking... And the number one thing you guys got to understand, you got motherfuckers like him that's walking around in the streets right now. Some of us live next door to these motherfuckers.
I refused to have any contact with Roy Mitchell at that point. But I think he pretty much understood, too. We got together and had a few drinks, and he didn't take any responsibility for it either. He said basically he didn't know it was going to occur, which at that point was hard for me to believe.
Of course that's a fucking lie. The goddamn FBI and local and state cops get together all the time in joint force efforts. They do it all the time. There's nothing uncommon about it. With the FBI working with cops or cops working with that, it's nothing uncommon.
I just began to understand basically how serious and deadly the game we had all been playing for 16 months. The reality of what we were doing just came to bear on us that morning. I think the membership was automatically decreased by 300 members that never showed up again when that happened.
And see, that's how it is. This is the reason why we don't have shit now. When you kill one of them, they just come back hard. When they kill one of us, we fold.
That all of our enemies, all of the Black Panther Party's enemies came out of the woodwork to capitalize on the situation. Bobby Rush was angry for quite a few days about all of the national leaders that showed up to lend support to the Black Panthers, who wouldn't sit down and have a conference with him early in the game. All of those people that showed up at Freddie Hampton's funeral and looked over his coffin.
Well, yeah, that's them pissing on his grave. That's literally what that is. When you have a situation like that, like how he just said, same motherfuckers that didn't want to give him a nickel, the same motherfuckers that didn't want to have absolutely nothing to do with Fred Hampton, they showed up at his funeral. That is literally how you piss on his grave. Literally. Don't fuck with me, man. I'm too cold with this shit. They pissed on his grave. That's why they came.
Didn't give him 10 minutes of their time when he was alive.
Yes, stop now.
My recruitment by the FBI was very efficient, very simple, really. I'd stolen a car and went joyriding over the state limit. And they had a potential case against me, and I was looking for an opportunity to work it off. And a couple of months later, that opportunity came when FBI agent Roy Mitchell asked me to go down to the local office of the Black Panther Party and try to gain membership. I did so and became a member of the Black Panther Party.
Were you aware specifically, through Mitchell, of a program called Cointelpro, the counterintelligence program?
At the time, no. I had no idea of any national program out to get the Panthers. I had no idea. In retrospect...
But look at all the shit that had been going on with the Panthers prior to Fred Hampton. Well, you know what? I do gotta admit, he did say in the beginning that he grew up in a middle class home, so he really didn't have any knowledge of the Panthers and all. But I still find that to be bullshit. Hey, listen, I'm gonna stop it here, man. I think this is probably one of the longest videos I've ever made in my YouTube career. So I'm gonna stop it, here. Guys, we gotta do better than this. We are way worse than this motherfucker you see on screen and the other guy. The first guy that we was just watching. We way worse than that now. We are 1,000 times worse than that. We have to do better, man. We have to do better. There's no way in fuck we supposed to be conducting ourselves the way that we do. Our men, our women, or our children. There's no way, man. We're not going to sustain like this. Now, granted, it's not the vast majority of us. It's still only a small population. And I'm saying in overall collectively, it's still a very small population that's doing a lot of the stupid shit that they're doing, but they're causing a lot of damage. It might not be a lot of them, but they're causing a lot of problems. A lot of problems. Problems that's going to follow us to the grave for 2 or 3 more generations to come if we don't stop this stupid shit. So once again, man, like I told y'all before, until we can sit down and have a serious conversation about this kind of shit, how it's gotten 1,000 times worse, and what we're going to do to put an end to it or to eradicate this type of shit right here, right along with the behavior that our people are doing out here in the streets openly and on the internet willfully, then don't talk to me about no fake Jew. Don't talk to me about no fucking Zionists. Don't talk to me about no Latinos, no Hispanics, no motherfucking Asians, none of that shit. I don't want to hear it, man. All right, so last but not least, it's time for my spicy meatball for anybody that is watching this to the end. My next video is going to be on arbitration. It will be a screen share. We're going to go over some of the things that consist of arbitration. I'm going to show you all a car contract, a typical car contract that you all sign when you go to the dealership. I am going to show you in that contract where it tells you that the car is paid off. I just had this conversation with a brother that used to attend a couple of my Zoom meetings and shit, and I was talking to him about it. He's already aware of the fact that I'm going to make this Zoom video. I mean, not Zoom video, but this, YouTube video. I'm in the mix of doing some things. I'm not going to tell y'all what I'm doing, but I'm in the midst of doing some shit right now, so I didn't really want to speak about it until afterwards. But for the time being, we can at least go over some things. You know what I'm saying? In terms of what it is that they don't want you to see, things they don't show you when it come down to your car contract. Like the part in the contract where it tell you that the car is completely paid for. Or the part of the contract where it tells you that you have a right to change the contract. Or the part where it tells you within the contract that the APR can be negotiated. All right, we're going to get into a few of those things. We're going to get into why it is that they're doing what it is that they're doing. And we're going to open up and expose a little bit more of the fraud. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that video. Now, the last thing I'm going to say before I get up out of here, I'm going to be using YouTube Live as a way to just come on there to make an announcement. My YouTube Live videos won't be very long. It'll be on there to say what it is I'm going to do next, or, some of the things I'm working on that I want to put out or whatever. Stay tuned for the video, and then I'm going to get off. Okay, so I am going to make a YouTube video, and it's going to be live, where I'm going to, hey, man, look, I'm going to make this video. Make sure y'all stay tuned for this arbitration video that I'm going to make. The YouTube Live may be on for maybe 5 or 6 minutes. It'll be just to make that announcement or some sort of similar announcement to that. And then I'm going to get off, and then it's your job to stay tuned for the next video. Okay, so with that being said, guys, a lot of what it is that you just heard me talk about with the arbitration and stuff like that is the reason for why they're ramping up things so quickly, because they know that the population is growing out of control when it comes down to people learning and waking up, you know, to the shit. That's what they fear. They cannot have an intelligent population. They cannot have a population of thinkers. They can't have that. That's detrimental to them at all costs, right? And notice that ain't violent. That ain't had nothing to do with violence or anything. You know, you learning, that ain't nothing violent, but they don't want you to learn the things that we learning. All right. So with that being said, man, at the 3-hour mark, I'm up out of here. Much love. And as I told y'all before, man, these type of videos right here, I'll be making these from the heart, man. No pun intended. I'm not trying to attack nobody that don't deserve to be attacked. If you're a piece of shit, fuck you. But these videos come from the heart.